Hey guys, it's September 30th, and you know what that means.
Boy!
Yes, tomorrow is October 1st, which is the first day of my 31 Days of Fright, where I watch a random horror movie every day leading up to the big day, Halloween. I talk about the movie, give some random trivia, and I hope you get to watch some of these, because I honestly want your thoughts and opinions on them. Because isn't that what watching horror movies is about? Watching them together and giving your thoughts. This is actually my first time doing this on my YouTube channel, but this isn't my first time doing this in general. For the last 2 years, I've been writing my own reviews through my Instagram and my Facebook. If this is your first time watching this, give my Instagram and Facebook and Twitter a follow. If you're an old fan from my Instagram and Facebook days, I'll hope you like the new format. But I don't feel bad because I'm continuing to do reviews through all 3 social medias. Just so you know, I'm going to be making videos on some movies I already talked about on my social media. Well, you're in luck because the movies I already talked about, I'm going to write another movie review on top of the one I'm talking about on my YouTube channel. So for the people that just read them and not watch, you get 2 reviews in one day. Aren't you special? But you should still watch them because I'm going to go into more details with the movies that I already have talked about in the past. So for you noobs out there, here's the basic rundown of what I'm doing. Every day I'll be watching a new horror movie at random with no real theme. It's just anything that I think is interesting or I have seen before and I just want to talk about them so you guys can check it out. These movies are coming from the physical to the digital, and I'll try my best to share where I've seen the movies so you can have a good shot of trying to find it yourself. So with this being my first video of 31 Days of Fright, I feel that it's necessary to explain where I got this fascination for these horror movies, and where it all began. To answer this question, I have to talk about my background when I was growing up as a kid. When I was growing up in the late 90s and early 2000s, I had parents who would tell me that these kinds of movies are gross and they have no value watching. That you shouldn't watch these movies at all, kinda shaming these movies and anyone that likes them. Granted, I have watched some horror movies, but the classics, like Night of the Living Dead or Frankenstein, or early versions such as Tremors. Stuff in that nature. But if you grew up at this time, there were only 2 real ways to watching these kinds of movies. You either had to go to your local video store or Blockbuster, but if you had parents like mine, you had a very slim chance of them letting you watch these kinds of movies. Or like me, you just happen to be channel surfing on the TV and just happen to find the movie you've been wanting to watch by blind luck. And granted, I didn't grow up with the TV guide, so it was completely random if I ever saw these movies firsthand on the TV. So for me, this was the only way I could watch these kinds of movies. It was just by blind luck. But with this way, I wasn't really watching a lot of stuff, as I said before, at the time. I only seemed to only watch Night of the Living Dead, Frankenstein, and Tremors. So fast forward to mid-October on a Friday in 2008. I was a freshman in high school, and I had to leave school early for a doctor's appointment. So when I got home, the first thing I did was obviously go channel surfing on the TV and just hope that I found something to watch. And when I started to channel surf, that's when I found it.
It's an invasion!
AMC Fear Fest.
All you can do is watch.
October 23rd through the 31st.
That's right, AMC's Fright Fest, a whole month of horror movies playing non-stop all day and night, except for Mad Men and later Breaking Bad on Sunday evenings. But non-stop horror movies? I'm in. I remember the first movie I ever started watching on this crazy journey was Jeepers Creepers, and I was hooked. I mean, they had everything, all the classics from the old to the new, and I watched all of them. This is how I got exposed to Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Exorcist, all the Child's Play movies. Granted, they were all censored to hell, but it was a great start for me to get into these kinds of movies. The other source actually comes from someone I was already a fan of for a while.
It's gonna take you back to the past to play the shitty games that suck ass he'd rather have.
Yup, AVGN or James Rolfe from Cinemassacre to be specific. And for being a fan for a while, I know he did his own special Halloween video game reviews, which coincidentally the first review I ever saw was the Friday the 13th episode, and we all know what he thinks about that.
Like puke up a donkey's ass. What a shitload of motherfucking bullfuck. I mean, I'd rather eat snot and diarrhea vomited out of a buffalo's dick and...
Anyway, it just happened that I found out that he did his own month-long horror movie marathon as well, Monster Madness, where he talks about different movies every day. Which he still does to some capacity, he just doesn't do it every day like he did before. But he still makes an effort to do a Monster Madness every year. That's how I found out about all these great movies such as The Tingler, Frankenhooker, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and way more than I can count. I also have to give a special shout out to Joe Bob Briggs, which gave me and a hell of a lot of other people the excuse to like and watch these exploitation films.
This chicken was not abused in any way by being cooped up. In fact, now that I think about it, we got the expression cooped up from chickens, right? Chickens live in coops. When we feel like chickens, we say we're cooped up. But we're also the first civilization in history to coop the chicken, then identify with the chicken by saying that we're cooped up, then decide that the chicken shouldn't be cooped up anymore because the chicken is probably exactly like us. Are you following this? In other words, we want the chicken to live an extremely happy, healthy, and carefree life right up until the moment when we hack its head off with a hatchet. I pointed this out to the waiter. He said, all of our chicken is free range. And I said, he doesn't look very free there on that plate.
If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have known about these great classics such as Tourist Trap, Blood Feast, and Pieces, and many more that I cannot name at this point.
These things expanded my horizons and just made me crave to look forward to the next horror movie. So that's where I came from, and essentially where I am now. I know these aren't the best reviews in the world. This is just a tribute. Just to show off where I came from, where I am now, and just hope that anyone that's watching, they give it a look too. Because tomorrow's October 1st, and we got a lot to cover. See you tomorrow. So, it's that time of the year again. It's October 1st, and you know what that means. Halloween's coming up, and I look forward to it every year. So, this is where I start my 31 Days of Fright. And just to remind you, in case you didn't watch the previous video, I watch one movie every day up to Halloween, so that's 31 movies in a row. Yeah, it's a lot, but worth it and fun as fuck. So, just to clarify again, I watch one movie every day, I talk about it, say any little quirky things, trivia, anything of that nature. So, this is the first time I'm actually doing this off my YouTube channel, but I'm still going to be doing my written reviews on my social media such as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, which you should definitely follow those if you haven't already. But anyway, just to clarify as before, I'm going to be talking about some movies I already talked about in the previous years. I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail this time since I'm doing this on my channel. So if I already talked about a movie I already have before on my Instagram and Facebook, I'm going to do an additional one just for you guys. So you're going to get 2 reviews in one day except the one. See, kids, isn't it cool to read? So let's get this marathon started. So I just want to set the stage, because the first movie, for me at least, is always the hardest because it has to set the stage, give a theme or anything like that. And for me, just by sheer coincidence, I always started my marathons with a modern movie. And just to give you a quick idea of what modern is to me, it's basically any movie I remember seeing a trailer for in my lifetime, or the earliest time I can remember seeing a trailer or being played in theaters at some point in my lifetime. So for me, modern movies start at 2002 because that was the first time I started really remembering movie trailers for this kind of stuff. So with that in mind, the first movie we're going to talk about is Midsummer. Midsummer, yeah, the movie that's directed by Ari Aster, or at least that's how I think it said. I could be wrong, so I apologize now if I get it wrong. Because my first ever review ever on any social media or anything was Hereditary. And if you did read that review, you already know how I feel about it. So I'm already starting this marathon on a low note. At least I have low expectations of what it should be. But enough of me rambling. Let's get this started with Midsommar.
So, the plot. It follows this group of college students that just happen to go to this hippie commune because their friend invited them to it to witness this great festival that only happens every 9 years, and weird stuff starts to happen as it goes on. And that's pretty much it, to be honest. I'm just going to stop explaining the plot because I don't want to spoil anything in case you haven't seen it yet. So at this point, I'm just going to talk about the thoughts I had and anything I've noticed in the background. So for starters, it has a really slow start. But the thing about Midsommar is that it has a better start than Hereditary in my opinion. For me, Hereditary was just really slow, and I didn't feel like it was going to go anywhere, and I lost interest before the halfway mark. But with Midsommar, I didn't really have that feeling. I was genuinely interested in what was going on. Yeah, it's slow, but enough to the point where it holds your interest. That is a big plus for me compared to Hereditary. I genuinely liked the setting. I don't know if it's just me, but the buildings have this old German expression type feel to it with like all those slanted angles, and they don't seem to be like a traditional house. It always has those like kind of angles that don't really make sense. And I also get this like Wicker Man feel. No, not the Nick Cage one.
What is it? What is it? Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah! Open my eyes! Ah!
We don't talk about that.
Not cool. Not cool!
I really do like the long, drawn-out shots. It reminds me of how movies used to be made. It definitely has some suspense because you want to know what is really going on here. You definitely feel like something big is going to happen. There's definitely some weird parts in this movie. Specifically with this one part, I'm not going to show you it because I don't want to really spoil it, but I think this gets the point across.
I want to thank you for being so great to me. So, I baked you a pie.
Oh, wow. Hey, that looks delicious. Oh, this is good. What's in there?
Well, there's some apples and some cinnamon and my hair.
What?
My hair is in the pie, Brian. And now it's inside of you. Part of me is inside of you, Brian. Do you feel me, Brian? Do you feel me inside of you?
One thing I do really like is how you see the effects of the drugs that they are taking from the person who's taking them's perspective. I mean, when you're seeing them on like some type of LSD or acid, you start to notice a lot of like weird effects in the background, like shapes and different movements in the background. It's really cool, and you don't really see that a lot in movies nowadays, or really ever. You gotta love it. And you know how I said that I didn't really lose interest before the halfway mark? Well, I started to lose interest about 3/4 of the way in because this movie suffers from the same problem that Hereditary did, that the movie doesn't go anywhere, at least in my opinion, or it does a really bad job of really showing you the climax of the story. These movies are pretty long movies. For example, this is 2.5 hours long, and I wasn't really satisfied with the ending. To be honest, it was just too long for me. If they would have cut probably like 30 minutes out, it would have been fine. And it's also kind of predictable. I use the word kinda because you can tell where they're going with the idea. It's just not exactly how you would think it would actually play out. Am I the only one that feels this way? Also, there are just some parts of the movie that don't really seem to go anywhere, or they're just not fleshed out very well. Like, I was asking myself, what is the point of all this? Is this really going to go anywhere? Another problem that I have with this movie, and Hereditary suffered the same fate, was that they explained the whole plot of the movie in the last few sentences of the film. But to be fair, I feel like this movie does it a little bit better, but that's not really saying that much. It's just not satisfying for my taste. But I can say this, if you're a fan of Hereditary, you'll most likely like this one. It's not a bad movie. Same with Hereditary. They're not bad. It's just not really for me. But I would recommend it to other people. Well, only to people that like Hereditary. I also want to say this before I get comments or messages from people saying that, oh, you don't like this movie because it's too intellectual for your Neanderthal mind. Like, I get it. Like, this movie's very not in your face with its plot or like its messages or anything like that. But I'm not really into that unless it's like a really compelling story. And for me, it wasn't really compelling. It was a lot better than Hereditary, I'll give it that. But for me, it didn't satisfy my need for that. Like, there's other movies that I think that are way better in that category. But hey, like I said before, if you liked Hereditary, you will probably most likely like Midsommar. And if you like both of them, I have no problem with that.
So that was my first day of 31 Days of Fright, and I hope you liked it. And if you did like it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and follow my other social medias, because like I said before, if I talked about a movie before on this channel, I'll be writing another one on my other social medias, so you'll get 2 on those days. So you should definitely follow my Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for the meantime. Well, first days are always rough, but it's going to be smooth sailing the rest of the way. So if you liked it, thanks for watching. Have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it's day 2 of this 31 Days of Fright, and we're just starting. So, what's the movie today we're going to talk about? Well, I got something special for you. We're going to talk about the movie Shivers. Yeah, Shivers. Yeah, it was actually the first movie directed by legendary director David Cronenberg. Yeah, you know David Cronenberg. He made the 1986 version of The Fly, Rabid, you know, body horror stuff. I mean, they even made fun of him on Rick and Morty with the Cronenbergs. So, the thing about David Cronenberg is that he doesn't like anything supernatural. When I mean supernatural, it's not like something that like comes out of nowhere. It's like, no, there has to be a logical explanation for any movie he ever does. Going back to The Fly, for example, a man creates a teleportation device. As he's teleporting from one room to the other, a fly gets in the tube, and over time he starts turning into a fly. Or like Rabid, when a girl has this weird parasite and she infects other people with that same parasite, and they become monstrous cannibals and stuff like that. Like, there has to be a logical explanation from where it started and where it ends. It's not just like something came from the sky or anything like that, forming from A to B just out of nowhere. No, he has to have some type of scientifically proven method, in the movie at least, to why the thing is happening to the characters in his movies. So before I go any further, we're going to talk about Shivers.
So the plot of this movie is pretty weird. So to make it as simple as possible, here it is. So there's this apartment complex that is infested with these dick-shaped parasites that make their host sexually violent to other people. I'll let that sink in. You might be asking yourself, why would this happen? Well, I'll let the doctor explain what the whole point of these parasites were.
Hobbes believed that man is an animal that thinks too much, an over-rational animal that's lost touch with its body and its instincts. How do you like that? In other words, too much brain and not enough guts. So what he came up with to help our guts along was a parasite that's, a combination of aphrodisiac and venereal disease that will hopefully turn the world into one beautiful, mindless orgy.
Well, I think it sounds a little crazy to me.
Yeah.
It also doesn't help that there's a naked woman front and center while he's explaining this to another doctor. Yeah, this movie's pretty weird, and it has a few random points, like this one with the dude just drinking a Coke and eating a pickle. And what does it say on the fridge? Also, this guy just talking to his gut in bed.
You and me are gonna be good friends. Good friends.
He sounds like a young boy that just found himself. Or this guy that's just eating french fries while he's getting in the elevator. He looks like a typical stoner. Then we have possibly the creepiest part of the whole movie.
Everything is erotic. that everything is sexual. You know what I mean? He tells me that even old flesh is erotic flesh. That disease is the love of two alien kinds of creatures for each other. That even dying is an act of eroticism. That talking is sexual. That breathing is sexual. That even to physically exist is sexual. And I believe him. And we make love beautifully.
Now I know what those third-wave feminists are talking about. But is this a bad movie? Honestly, I don't think so. I actually think it's pretty decent, and I recommend this movie to anyone that likes David Cronenberg movies, or just wants to watch something a little bit different.
So what do I give Shivers? 4 stars. I really like it a lot. You know, and if you're a fan of David Cronenberg movies or body horror movies in general, I do highly recommend this one. It's pretty good. And you can actually find it on Amazon Prime. So that completes the second day of my 31 Days of Fright. And we got a long road to go, but it's a fun road, I tell you what. So if you like the video, please like and subscribe and watch my previous videos. And leave a comment and tell me what you thought about this movie. And you should also follow my Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook so you can read my written reviews on this movie and next ones to come. So, thanks for watching, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it's day 3 and we're off to a good start. We got something new, something old under our belt, so we're pretty good at this point. So what's today's movie going to be about? It has to be something pretty interesting, right? Well, the movie we're going to be talking about today is Velocipaster. Velocipaster. I'm not gonna lie, the name alone got me interested. I was just browsing around Amazon Prime, just looking for something to watch, and I mean, looking at that title and poster, you have to be somewhat curious on what this movie is about, right? I mean, I can't be the only one. I mean, what can happen in a movie called Velocipaster?
Does this movie take place in the land before time, where a recovering addict raptor becomes a pastor and predicts the world is going to end, but no one believes him until it's too late? Or is it about how God is starting to regret killing off the dinosaurs and hates humanity so much that he gets one of his angels to transform into a raptor to eradicate all the non-believers and abolish them of all their sins by killing them? Damn, we're going medieval, aren't we? Well, let's go check this out. So the plot is basically this. There is a pastor that goes on a trip to China after his parents died, but he finds himself in possession of a dinosaur tooth that turns him into a dinosaur, and that he fights drug-pushing ninjas. That's pretty much it. This is one of those movies where you just watch just to have fun and try not to make any sense of it.
I can rid the world of this scum with my bare hands, don't you see?
Just watch it, get entertained, and that's it. Nothing else. Other than the outlandish plot, this movie has a lot of funny moments in it.
James!
Adeline!
James!
Adeline!
James! James!
For starters, at the beginning of the movie, we see how his parents die. You want to guess how his parents die? I want you to guess. I'm going to show you the clip leading up to it, and I want you to guess what happens after.
Mom and Dad!
If you guess that the car will explode right next to them, you're right. So for your reward, let's watch it together.
No. No.
You thought. Yeah, you get nothing. All it says is VVX car on fire. Still funny though, which makes the next line even better.
So your parents died, Doug. It's what parents do.
The whole movie is just full of these moments that make it worth watching. And just for the fact that they're just so random, it just makes it even better. Like at this point, we have a group of ninjas that are trying to attack him, but the only Asian ninja starts to have some inner monologue about how he shouldn't have left his wife and how he's going to die or some shit.
요진이 항상 나한테 말해줬지. 이렇게 될 것이라고.
Choi Min is going to spring to the tree there.
광주에서는 우리가 학생이었을 때
I'm pretty sure dinosaurs can't look up.
그때는 내가 그녀를 결혼할 줄 알았지. 그때는
Jenny, you got that? Good. Choi Min?
Or here how he finds the secret underground ninja camp. Just by using jazz hands, we find out that the head ninja is his brother.
Still don't recognize me, do you, Doug?
Wait. That voice.
Remember me now? Brother!
Sam.
Why? It doesn't really add anything. It just happens and ends up going nowhere. And he ends up killing him, by the way.
Your ancestors are my ancestors.
So you might be asking yourself, Hayden, why are there ninjas in this movie talking about a pastor becoming a velociraptor? Well, I'll be happy to tell you. And it's pretty outlandish and stupid. So the whole point of this ninja group is that they're actually Christians. And their whole point is so they can push drugs into this small town. And since they're the only ones with the supply, once they get rid of the supply, the addicts will become desperate and they will go to church to become born again Christians. Yeah, that is great. That is just fucking great. Or like how he kills the main ninja by ripping his head off. And there's this random Gandhi quote that just comes out of nowhere. I don't know. We also have to talk about the special effects. Just looking at the few scenes that I have shown, you know this is going to be really low budget. Just look at the blood effects just squirting out of the people's bodies. You gotta love it. But all of you are probably wondering, what the fuck does this dinosaur even look like? Well, it's what you expect. It's ass. But it's that ass you expect. But this thing looks like it's Godzilla's son and the duck-billed dinosaur from Jurassic Park 3 had a baby. But like I said before, this whole movie is just full of shit. But is this movie a bad movie? Not at all. It's actually really entertaining. It's just one of those movies you just happen to find on Amazon Prime or Netflix. And have a good few laughs and enjoy yourself. So what do I give Velocipaster? 3 stars. It's just a hell of a fun time just watching and just seeing how ridiculous the movie is. And if you're interested, you can find it on Amazon Prime, like I said before. So if you like this video and the previous 3 videos I've done, please like and subscribe to the channel and leave your comments down below on what you thought about the movie.
And also, you should check out my Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for my written reviews for this movie and the movies to come. So, day 3's done. Have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow.
We did it.
Hey guys, it's day 4 of my 31 Days of Fright, and I'm hoping you're really enjoying my movie reviews so far. It's been fun, for me at least. I hope you're having a good time also. So, what's today's movie, you're asking? Well, if you're a fan of horror comedies, this one's definitely up your alley. This one's personally one of my favorite parodies in general. It's basically taking two of the biggest sci-fi franchises in the world and combining them into one. And what are those two franchises? I'll get into that a little bit later. But how I discovered this movie is that I was at a local Alamo Draft House, and they were playing it just for some random feature, and the whole crowd just started busting guts. It was just that hilarious. I especially find it more enjoyable if you've actually seen the original movies that they're making fun of first, just to get you that extra laugh out of yourself. So, and what is this movie, you're asking? It's called Shocking Dark. Ooh, scary. But it's anything but, really. So let's get into this. This is Shocking Dark. So the plot takes place in the year 2000 in Venice, where the algae in the water starts to eliminate all the oxygen, causing the area to be uninhabitable.
Threatened by the high tide. The seaweed is killing the oxygen in the waters. This is Venice today. What will happen tomorrow?
Yeah, that's very riveting storytelling. I guess Bobby was right. Save itchy algae.
The government has declared it a disaster area and has ordered the evacuation of the few remaining survivors. Venice is now a dead city.
And many years later, the military takes control, and the only people that are allowed to live there are scientists that live in underground bunkers. But of course, that doesn't last long when the base gets attacked. And a special group of soldiers are sent in to rescue any survivors and retrieve any data.
All right, you bunch of pussies, I'm back and I'm kicking ass.
I wonder what this sounds like. I mean, you have a group of special elite soldiers gearing up, and do you know what these special operations soldiers call themselves?
Well, I guess the shelter wasn't so impenetrable after all.
Yeah, but they didn't have the Marines from the Megaforce.
Yeah, they call themselves the Megaforce. With their bedazzled motion trackers, I mean, how can you tell where they're coming from, let alone how many things are around you?
14 yards!
Finding a little girl in the middle of the chaos, someone stuck in a nest and asking them to kill them.
Please kill me. Kill me, please.
Okay, it's pretty obvious what this movie is a rip-off of. If you haven't figured out yet, it's Aliens. A fucking Dollar General version. I mean, look at these actors playing their roles. They're so over the top and trying so hard. They even have their scripts in front of objects in front of the camera so they can read their lines. Oh, but it's just so conveniently placed that you don't notice.
It's not alive, that is. It's not alive until it finds something to live in. Something to reprogram on the basis of its own genetic program. A chromosome databank. It's like a floppy disk. You insert it into the right computer and it literally brings its program to life.
Before I go any further, we have to talk about Samantha, the girl that they find, the Newt ripoff, if you will. I swear that her only lines are just to scream Sarah over and over and over again. It happens so many times that it just gets funnier the more times she says it. So this movie also has the most that's convenient plot twists I have ever seen. Like here when Sarah said that the Tubular Corporation, yeah, they're called the Tubular Corporation, is just making Venice a lot worse. That 99-cent Newt finds a video saying the exact same thing that Sarah was saying.
Everything started here, I'm sure of it.
The only thing that started here was a plan to recuperate the Venice Lagoon.
Stop it. Everybody knows that the Tubular Corporation is nothing more than a big cover-up. Your largest shareholders are arms dealers and speculators like Levine and Benson, warmongers developing chemical and bacteriological weapons.
You haven't the proof to back that up. The Tubular Corporation was given the contract to reclaim Venice. If we didn't succeed, it was because something abnormal prevented us from doing so. The same abnormal phenomena that we're investigating right now.
Stockholders, welcome to the Operations Center, heart of the Tubular Corporation. The Save Venice project is about to be launched from this very room. By tomorrow, the underground aqueduct that connects us with the Lagoon City will be fully operational. Thanks to the kind intercession of two of our major shareholders, Mr. Levine and Mr. Benson, 75 milligrams of NOR and 80 milligrams of KSC will be infused into the purifying filters spanning the tubes. These substances will further pollute the water, already devoid of oxygen, and will definitely make Venice a dead city. The Tubular Corporation is the largest owner of the city's real estate, works of art, and museums. Within precisely 750 solar days, we will thus be able to proceed with the true reclamation plan and resell our property together with that acquired after the total collapse of the city for more than 70% of their present value. Now, this financial strategy has already been approved by the majority, but we are looking for total adhesion from the rest of our shareholders. We hope we can count on your cooperation today, and of course, naturally, we request the maximum discretion regarding this operation. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
How convenient. Makes a lot of sense. And this is when you find out that the tubular guy is a machine.
And they'll continue to construct increasingly perfect weapons. True war machines.
He's a machine too.
You're a replicant.
Gee, I wonder what he's supposed to be. I mean, it makes a lot of sense if you really think about it. His acting is so bad that the only thing he can deliver are those cold, emotionless lines like a machine would.
You still haven't realized that I'm immortal. I'm the most perfect thing ever constructed by the Tubular Corporation.
I have to give the guy who made this movie credit. He knew what he was doing with his actors. Or this part at near the end when Tubular Terminator decides to blow up the base to cover his tracks. You see Sarah and Samantha cower in fear as they're about to die. I mean, that sucks. It sucks to see main characters die. I was starting to really like them. It really does suck to see them go.
We're gonna die. We're both gonna die.
Attention, life form on board.
Hello, welcome aboard the Tubular Time Pod. Today we will be traveling to the past. You have 10 seconds to fasten your seatbelts. Please don't forget to take your time-space microprocessor, which is located under the screen. Thank you.
Really? Well, that's convenient. It's not every day where you just happen to stumble across a fucking time machine and then just happen to go back to Venice before all this bullshit happened. After all's said and done, this movie is just great. This is a Hardware Wars level of greatness, even though it's just low budget and cheap and try to get their sneaky little hands in the Alien and Terminator franchise. It's really a lot of fun and have a good laugh. So I actually do recommend you watch this with a group of people. It's just more enjoyable that way. Especially if you're a bunch of sci-fi nerds like I am, you'll get a huge kick out of it. And you know what the funny thing is that this movie was originally called Terminator 2. Then James Cameron came in and was like, no, you can't do that. Then the real Terminator 2 came out, and that can, let's just say that Terminator 2 blows this Terminator 2 out of the water. So if you're interested in watching this, you can actually find it on Amazon Prime for free. So get a group of friends together, have a good laugh, have a good rest of the month. I hope you enjoy my reviews. Like I said before, I will be having a written review in my social media accounts. The links will be in the descriptions. Hope you enjoy reading those also, and have a good one, and we'll see you tomorrow. Oh boy, it's day 5 of my 31 Days of Fright, and today's going to be a great one. And I'm just so excited to share my thoughts and opinions about this one, because this movie is the greatest movie of all time. I mean, if you even think of the title, you think of just pure genius, greatness, and will live in empathy in cinema history. It's what defines the word cinema. I'm talking about The Room. Yes, The Room. You might be asking yourself, Hayden, The Room's not a horror movie. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Hear me out. You have an alien that decides to go to planet Earth to become human. But then he realizes that humanity sucks dick and being human's hard as fuck. So a Chad comes in his life to take his girlfriend away, and he decides to end it all. That is the best horror story of all time. The fact that you guys cannot see that is just mind-blowing to me. So you know what? We're just going to get started with The Room. Oh, God. You know, I'm just going to play it, just see how it goes. You know, so good. Hey, Renee, what's up?
I just wanted to call to make sure that you were watching The Room.
That's actually quite funny. I was just about to watch this movie. I actually just turned it on, and for my 31 Days of Fright, because you kept mentioning it for some weird reason. And I'm going to be honest, like, this movie's not that scary. I mean, the only thing that's scary in this movie is the guy alien that thinks he's a human being.
You mean Tommy Wiseau?
Yeah, that's, what's his face? You know, I'm just wondering, there's nothing about this movie that's horror, only him. So why do you want me to watch this so badly?
No, you fucking moron. I'm talking about The Room.
The Room. No, I spelled it all out. It says The Room on it.
The Room! It's on Shudder. It's a real horror movie.
Huh?
I think this is the room you're talking about, right?
Well, duh. You fucking idiot.
What?
What?
Well, anyways, thanks for calling me before I started watching the other room. That would have made me look like a huge idiot.
Well, I didn't have to do anything to make you look like an idiot.
What?
Enjoy the movie. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on it. And enjoy the rest of the marathon.
Well, thanks, man. I really hope that you... Hello? Hello? You must have been doing a podcast or something. So, we're not watching The Room. We're watching The Room. I guess two movies have the same title, right? Well, let's get right into this.
So the plot revolves around this couple that move into their brand new house, and as they're cleaning up, they find out that the house has a dark history where the previous owners were murdered.
You know, I was real surprised when they told me someone had finally bought this place. And again, it was a long time ago.
What was a long time ago?
The previous owners. They got killed in this house.
And as they continue to clean the house, they find a hidden room, and it's as empty as Tommy Wiseau's acting.
What a story, Mark.
They come to find out that the room has this weird ability. Whatever you wish will come true.
Where did you get all this stuff?
Honey, a real Van Gogh, 1889.
Yeah, sure.
Honey, what do you need most in the world?
There's nothing I need. A better job?
No. Name a thing. Come on, there's got to be something. Anything. Please, do it for me.
I want $1 million.
That's pretty much the whole plot of the movie, for the most part. But the reason to watch this movie is to see how it plays out. It's kind of like It Follows. If you explain the plot, it sounds stupid, but it's how they do it in the matter. But even though they get everything they want, they can't get the one thing that they always wanted. A child.
Open them. Let's give it another try. Honey, remember what the doctor said. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. There's no reason we can't have children.
But there is one rule. You cannot have the things that you wish for leave the house, or they'll start to age to the point where they'll become dust. And they find this information out by visiting the guy who murdered the last couple in the house.
What do you want from me? Why did you kill the Schaefers? It was the only way. I need answers. What you need is advice. Forget about the room. Get out of the house and do that now, before it's too late.
So they wish for a child, and that's when the movie starts to really pick up. Because like I said before, if anything goes outside the house, it ages to death. So when they bring the baby out for the first time, it starts to age, and it becomes a fourth grader. So the mom starts to go overboard on making sure the kid never leaves the house.
Can I go camping?
No, you can't. For the same reason you can't answer the door. You're sick, my love.
I don't feel sick. Not germ sick.
Well, that's because you're in this house. It protects you.
But if you go outside, the germs will get you.
There are no germs in this house.
Only good germs.
One of the best things about this movie that I like is that it doesn't explain how the house actually works or how it became the way it was. I feel like if it would explain how the process worked, it would be lame or something that wouldn't really fit with the narrative of the movie. Mystery is good when it comes to this kind of stuff. The less you know, the better. So I'm just going to stop here because I feel like if I talk about this movie anymore, I'm just going to spoil it. And I really do want you guys to watch this and give me your thoughts on it.
So what do I give The Room? 3 stars. You can actually find it on Shudder and Amazon Prime. And I actually do recommend you guys watch and give it a look. Leave a comment if you did watch it. Give me your thoughts about it. Make sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Follow all my social medias down below. And this party has just started. It's only day 5. What awaits tomorrow? You have to wait and find out. So have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it's day 6 of my 31 days of Fright, and I'm hoping you're liking the first week so far. So, what's today's movie? It is Eaten Alive by Tobe Hooper. Yeah, it was Tobe Hooper's first movie after he did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And if you know me, I feel like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the best horror movie ever made. So, it would be wrong of me to compare Eaten Alive to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's just not fair for the film's point of view. I mean, that's with any real movie. That you have to judge it based on the movie itself. You can't judge it based on previous successes or failures. You have to judge it based on its own merits. And that's the only way I'm going to do it. That's always how I always do it. So before I talk more about it, let's get into Eaten Alive.
So the plot of this movie is pretty simple. It's just a dude that lives in the middle of a swamp that runs a hotel and kills people that stay there and feeds the dead bodies to his pet crocodile. And yes, I mean crocodile, not an alligator. He makes that very clear.
Oh, you've seen it, huh? Ain't no ordinary gator. That's a croc. Gators, they can't move fast unless they're in the water. Old croc now, not the same. Outrun a horse.
It starts out with this girl getting kicked out of a brothel owned by Morticia from Addams Family because she doesn't want to have sex with Robert Englund. I mean, who would, right?
There ain't no hurry. I paid for a whole hour. Besides, I sort of thought we could try something new.
So when she gets to the hotel, and when he finds out that she used to work at that brothel, he gets really mad, and he kills her with a hoe. He kills a hoe with a hoe, and feeds her to the croc. Then there is this family that comes out of nowhere, and the croc eats the dog.
Oh my God, come here!
Angie! Nice. He kills the dad with a scythe, then the crocodile eats him. And he ties up the mom to his bed and chases the girl with the scythe. and he actually follows her underneath the house.
Come on out of there. Come look at what old Judd done brought you. Yes, ma'am. Look here. Little girl.
Oh man, this is pretty weird. That Robert Englund comes back with another woman, and we get this weird part where they're having sex, and so to hide the screams of the woman tied to the bed and the kid, he just turns the music up.
What's that?
That's nothing. Come here. Just don't pay no mind to it. Hands.
Then, of course, Robert Englund gets eaten. We get the cliche madman chasing a girl with a lawn care tool. You gotta love it. And for the ending, we get a pretty cool chase scene where he gets eaten by his own crocodile, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. After this, you can just tell that Tobe Hooper is really good at making batshit insane people, or just making situations just creepy. Like the parents to the kid where their dog just got eaten, when they're trying to calm her down. I mean, the guy looks like he's about to fucking go mad. Or Judge is talking to himself after he kills somebody.
Don't want to hear what old Jud's got to tell him. Oh, Jud's an old fool. Yeah, he is. Set the dogs again, he made her.
It's just these moments that make the movie watchable.
So what do I give Eaten Alive? I give it 3 stars. You know what, for a Tobe Hooper movie, it's actually not that bad. I mean, yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, more or less the second Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but that's completely great on its own merit. Then Poltergeist, definitely Texas Chainsaw and Poltergeist, those are like the 2 big ones, but you know what? Eaten Alive isn't that bad. I would give it a watch. It's actually on Amazon Prime for free if you want to give it a shot. So with that in mind, today's day 6, tomorrow's day 7. What am I going to watch tomorrow? Well, you got to wait and find out. And until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it's day 7 of my 31 Days of Fright, and we completed the first week. I hope you guys are liking them so far. I'm enjoying doing them. So, what's today's movie? Well, I got something special planned. I'm actually going to do something a little different. I want to compare an old version of a movie to the remake of the same movie. Today, we're going to do Blood Feast from 1963 and from 2016. So I just wanted to compare and contrast the two, just to see what's similar, what's different, and which one do I recommend most. So you might be asking yourselves, hey, didn't you review Blood Feast last year? You are right, I did review Blood Feast last year. And if you were paying attention to my first post, that means I'm going to do another movie review on my written medias, such as Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So that means you're going to get 3 reviews today if you read my Instagram and Facebook. And I'm not even going to tell you what my second review is, because it's going to be a surprise for you guys that actually do read. Don't you feel special? Okay, so the movie that I'm going to talk about, the first one, is Blood Feast from 1963. And it was made by Herschel Gordon Lewis, that basically was the godfather of gore exploitation movies. And I know I say the word exploitation films a lot, but what does it really mean? Well, here's a little background towards what an exploitation film is.
Just to clarify, an exploitation film is a film that attempts to succeed financially by exploiting current trends, niche genres, or lewd content. So for the most part, it's just a way to market extreme trends such as gangs, cannibalism, slashers, sex, westerns, and even race.
So yeah, that's basically what I mean by exploitation film. So he is essentially the godfather of this, like the gore genre, because he was the first one that did a gory slasher movie. This predates Halloween and Black Christmas, so this is definitely like the first of its kind. So what do I think about it? Well, let's get into it. This is Blood Feast, 1963.
So the plot is pretty simple. There is a serial killer going around and killing young girls so he can please his ancient Egyptian god Ishtar and bring her back.
Oh, my Ishtar, my goddess, at last you have signaled me to begin.
But she looks like a mannequin that is painted gold. He pleases her by performing a blood feast, basically making food using human remains. So, human sacrifices to the gods. I wonder if they're really sacrificing to Ishtar. Anyway, this is one of those movies where you just watch it for the great moments and people. Like the police detectives bickering at each other about the killer.
There should have been clues all over the place. And we couldn't come up with one.
Yeah, and the DA's office is getting hot too, Chief. Well, we're just working with a homicidal maniac, that's all.
The bad acting.
Have you ever had an Egyptian feast?
Why, that would be fine. That would be perfect. My daughter, Suzette, is a student of Egyptian culture.
And let's not forget Connie Mason.
Caterer has a marvelous idea. I can hardly wait. Aren't you excited?
Yes, Mother, of course I am.
Then we get to our main killer, Fuad Ramses, the man of the hour. I mean, just look at this dude. Who in the right mind is going to be like, yep, that guy looks normal, with his big bug eyes and his dark gray hair and having a bad Bela Lugosi impression?
Now, O Ishtar, the feast is begun.
So, the main point of this character is that he runs an exotic food catering service and he specializes in unusual feasts.
Yes, Mrs. Fremont. I do cater to unusual affairs.
So when he kills his victims, he takes a piece of them for the feast. He gets legs, brains, even tongues. For a movie that was made in the 60s, it's pretty graphic. I mean, I can see why people thought this was gruesome and gratuitous at the time. I mean, look at it. It was the first of its kind, so I can't really judge it that hard. But that is pretty much the movie. The movie does focus on the police and the side characters around the murders, instead of just focusing on the main killer, which is normal for these kinds of movies.
Relax, hon. Just a while longer. Your folks know you're in good hands. Besides, this is when it just starts getting nice.
So what do I give Blood Feast 1963? I give it 3 stars. You know what? It might be bad. It's actually kind of hard to watch. But for the first of its kind, it's kind of special. It basically created a whole new genre. So I can't really knock it that much. But I do highly recommend it. I know it's on Amazon Prime and on Shudder. So give that one a watch. So the next movie is the remake of Blood Feast from 2016. There's definitely some differences, but let's get into it right now with the 2016 version of Blood Feast.
So right off the bat, it pretty much has the same plot, which it should, but there are some key differences than the original. For starters, both the guys do own businesses where they sell food. It's just that in this one, he runs a 50s diner in France for some weird reason.
It's so great.
Oh, good. You like it.
Very welcome. Bon appetit.
Thanks.
Matilda, I think you could use a few calories. Could I interest you in a nice big juicy steak?
Yeah, him and his family moved to Paris, France to open a 50s American diner. Don't ask why. I think it's dumb also. And it's not just a market. He also has a family unlike the original. So you come to find out that he's having some financial problems, so he decides to get a night watchman's job at an Egyptian museum.
We have a little financial difficulty. Not enough customers, not enough money.
This move was very, very expensive.
You have a second job, Dad.
Yes, I have a second job, and the night shift at the museum is just for that, to get out of debt. Once we're out of debt, then things may change.
And why are we in debt?
The move, the diner.
Oh, this isn't even really Paris, it's some little suburb.
Hey, watch your attitude. You think your tuition is cheap?
And one night he just happens to forget his medication. And that's the one thing I do not like about this movie, is that they make such a big deal about him not taking his pills. Like his wife, for example. She makes it sound like he's gonna do something fucking crazy if he doesn't even take them.
Fuad, how long has it been that you've stopped taking your medicine?
What do you mean?
The pills are gone. We've talked about this. You have to take your medicine.
I was taking my pills out of the container, and they all spilled into the sink. That's what happened.
Get some new ones.
I will. I just figured, I'd wait a month and let...
This is not about saving money on me. This is your health.
I mean, did something happen to warrant this concern? We don't know. We never find out. It just so happens to be the night where he meets Ishtar, the Egyptian goddess of love, in the museum.
Hello?
Fuad, my lover, how I long to be united with you.
So I'll give it this. It's not a mannequin painted gold. They actually got a real human woman to be Ishtar. And another thing that's cool is they actually explain what the blood feast is and what he has to do to actually achieve it.
Before Tammuz became a god, the goddess Ishtar laid eyes on him, and Ishtar was impressed with Tammuz. And she said, I must add this young man to my collection. He is, after all, bright, strong, young, beautiful. And she told Tammuz that he could be with her. So here is Tammuz, who is burning with love and desire. He captured some boys and girls. He slaughtered 7 boys and 7 girls and cooked them in the dinner that he served to the townspeople. Now here are the townspeople enjoying their dinner, not knowing where it came from. But they couldn't tell. They were eating their own children. They thanked Tammuz for the feast he had prepared. And in exchange, Ishtar welcomed him as her lover.
So for the blood feast to occur, they have to kill 7 people and feed them to their town. As in, they have to feed them to their local people, their families or neighbors, so forth. So she can become their personal sex servant. Yeah, apparently you do this feast to unlock her soul, and you could basically be her internal love forever. I mean, it makes a lot more sense than the first one. Unlike the original, the victims are people we kind of already know. Like the kid that doesn't leave the restaurant when he's told, his daughter's friends, not just completely random people. I do have to say, though, that the kills in this movie are more cultish. in the sense that he kills the people wearing a stupid headpiece and tortures them first in like some type of like Egyptian sacrifice ritual. I mean, he doesn't even wear the headpiece in the original. But do you really need to? It's just overkill in my opinion. But at least the kills are more colorful. In this one, you see him prepare his first victim and serve it to somebody. It's pretty hardcore. Not like the original at all.
You're gonna want to try my new recipe.
This is seriously so amazing. It's really good. It's quite different.
Isn't it? So happy to hear that you're enjoying it, Clement.
You're such an eating machine, Matisse.
Yeah, and you like everything that's fat and meaty.
Yeah.
Where in the original, we're focused more on the police and the people like Connie Mason and her side story. This one is more focused on Ramses himself and how he's sneaking around and getting all the pieces and murders that he needs to complete this feast. It's definitely modernized, but we still get the tongue rip, which is pretty cool. I definitely do not like the wife. It seems like she knows what her husband's going to do, even before he even does it. Like, did he do something before?
Where were you yesterday?
Does it really matter, Louise?
Then I'm going to bed.
It also has some of the dumbest scenes I've ever seen outside of a porno. Like this one.
You have very pretty eyes.
I'm glad you like them. Would you like to see them with cum all over my face?
What am I supposed to say about this? Who fucking says that, French hoe? It also has a lot of filler, like her daughter going on a date, his wife walking around. There is one thing that this movie does that the original does not. They actually do have a blood feast, and it's pretty intense, so I'm not going to spoil it because you should definitely check it out. But there is one downside to it. I don't know if it's just me, but the part is pretty funny and over the top, at least in my eyes. I don't know if it was just the mood I'm watching this in, but I could not stop but like chuckle when they're just making those creepy faces. So with the 2016 Blood Feast, there's definitely some differences. Some good, some bad. Overall, I give it maybe 2.5 stars. For me personally, I think the ending is the only part worth watching, in my opinion. Everything else is just kind of like, yeah. So I hope you find these reviews interesting. If you want to see the 2016 version, by the way, it's on Amazon Prime. But yeah, if I had to pick one for you guys to watch, I definitely the first one, because that's the first one of the new genre that was invented. And if you like that one, definitely check out the remake. I'm not saying it's not worth watching, but it's more enjoyable if you actually seen the first one to compare it to. So the first week's over. We got 3 more to go, and for me, it's just starting.
So I hope you like these videos. I hope you like reading my reviews. And make sure to check out my second review on my Instagram and Facebook, because I'm not going to announce what it is on here. So definitely check out for that. Definitely like and subscribe, comment to tell me what you think. Yeah, and I hope you enjoyed them. So until next time, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it's day 8 of my 31 days of Fright, and we finished the first week. Yay! Alright, now we're going to get into something really nasty. I'm like really nasty. And I'm doing this because I feel like the first 7 movies weren't nasty enough. But you know what? This isn't going to even be the nastiest film on this whole marathon. And what are the other ones? You have to wait and find out. So what's today's movie? Hatchet. Yeah, Hatchet's one of my personal favorite slasher movies of all time. It's basically just a fun, making fun of like 80s slasher movie tropes, and there's a shitload of gore. I mean, there's a lot. And it's definitely entertaining to watch if you're into that kind of stuff. If you're like a gore hound, I definitely check it out. I highly recommend it. So before I start blabbling on, let's talk about Hatchet.
Ah, yes, Hatchet. This movie's so much fun to watch. If you're not familiar with Hatchet, here's the rundown. It's basically a more bloody, gory Friday the 13th, but instead of being based in New Jersey, and our main protagonist is Jason Voorhees, played by a variety of actors including Kane Hodder, no, we have the Bayou Butcher of Louisiana named Victor Crowley, who's played by Kane Hodder. Yeah, you know how Jason wears that bitch-ass mask, so you don't know what he looks like? Well, Victor Crowley says, fuck that, here's my fucking face front and center. And he kind of looks like Rocky from Mask. I guess that's what happens when Cher's your mom and you're in a fucking motorcycle gang. I mean, this guy's fucking ripped, dude. What does this guy do? Anyway, so let's get started. So the plot evolves around this group of kids in New Orleans celebrating Mardi Gras. But one of the guys feels like he's not really enjoying himself with all the boobs, which I don't know how you couldn't.
Hey! For something new, right? Haven't you seen enough boobs?
So he and another friend of his decide to go on this haunted swamp tour boat ride through the bayou.
Do you do a haunted swamp tour?
Why, I do the only haunted swamp tour?
And this is where we get our introduction to Victor Crowley.
So he ran and got himself a hatchet, and he started chopping at that door. But Victor was pressed up against the other side trying to get out. And it was an accident, but he hit him in the face with that hatchet, and poor Victor Crowley died.
Then shortly after, the boat starts to sink and they have to get on a shore. And that's where they meet Victor Crowley. Holy fucking shit, did you see that? That's one violent motherfucker. I mean, come on. Ooh, look at that. Ooh. Got King Kong there. I mean, what is there else to say in this movie? It's basically a tribute to the 80s slasher movie tropes that just made those movies fun to watch. Like, you don't really care about the side characters or any of that. No, you want to watch this for the kills and how they're performed. And you know what? Kane Hodder does an excellent job of performing these. And that's pretty much for the whole movie. So we get to the ending after they kill Victor Crowley with a metal guardrail. They get on a boat in the swamp, just reflecting on what happened, thanking their Lord that they survived. Oh, this reminds me of a certain movie. I can't really think of it. And of course, he isn't dead. And that's the end of the movie.
So what do I give Hatchet? 4 stars. My first 4-star rating review of this whole month, because I love it that much. If you're a fan of Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, all the slasher movies of any type, you have to watch this if you haven't. I highly, highly recommend it. I believe you can find it on Amazon Prime. I think you have to pay for it, or you can use like the weird Tubi app for free. But definitely check it out on Amazon Prime if you can, if you're a gore hound like I am. Well, that completes day 8 of my 31 Days of Fright. Hope you like this movie. If you do, please leave a like and subscribe to this channel, and read my written review on this on my Instagram and Facebook. And make sure to follow those as well. So, what else is coming up tomorrow? We gotta find out until then. And until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it is day 9 of my 31 Days of Fright. You know what, since I did a huge gore fest yesterday, I figured let's tone it down a little bit. So this movie's dedicated for all the kiddies out there, yeah, you know, the young kids that like spooky stuff, but it's not like in the gore or anything, not adult content. We're not talking about adult content today. We're going to talk about Corpse Bride. Yeah, I actually do like Corpse Bride a lot. Personally, Coraline's more of my favorite, like, Halloween, spooky, animated movie. But Corpse Bride's still pretty good in my opinion. I just like the style of it a lot. So, this is Corpse Bride.
So the film starts out with our main character, Victor, played by Johnny Depp. And we see him in his room playing with his butterfly collection. Man, he sure likes his butterflies.
If it helps, I believe that after you die, you can come back as whatever you want. I'll be a butterfly. How come? Because nobody ever suspects the butterfly.
And we get a good look at the dark and depressing world that this story is set in. We get our first musical number.
It's a beautiful day.
It's a rather nice day.
A day for a glorious wedding.
A rehearsal, my dear, to be perfectly clear.
A rehearsal for a glorious wedding.
So the main plot is that our main character is going to get married to a woman that he's never met or loved in the past. And he's actually going out to meet her for the first time right at the wedding rehearsal. Damn, that is a rough start to any relationship. So the main purpose of this marriage is because apparently the bride's family is broke and they need their kin to get married so they can be financially supported. I mean, they do say this in the song.
Oh, it couldn't be worse.
Couldn't be worse. I'm afraid I disagree. There could be land-rich bankrupt aristocracy without a penny to their name, just like you and me.
Oh, dear.
Single tiny microscopic little thing must go.
That's a cool effect. I like that a lot. Obviously, this guy's just terrified of the idea of getting married to someone that he doesn't even know. So after fucking up at the rehearsal, he starts to run away into the forest just to get away from it all.
It's just a few simple vows.
But as he's rehearsing his lines by himself, he puts the ring on a stick, but the stick turns out to be a finger to a dead bride.
With this candle, I will light your way in darkness. With this ring, I ask you to be mine.
My first question is, how has no one found this corpse earlier? I mean, it's pretty shallow. I mean, the hand is just sticking out of the ground. Anyway, she gets revived because of love, I guess? This seems to have the same plot as The Love Witch, and this is when the scenery completely changes. Before, with The Living, it's all dark and depressing, but once we get to the underworld, it's all colorful and full of life. I mean, it's a straight contrast to what we're supposed to be thinking of being alive and dead. How ironic. So that's when we get to the backstory of our corpse bride, and how she actually got murdered waiting for her true love before they were able to get married. Oh, and her name's Emily, by the way, just so if you didn't know. But obviously, Victor didn't intentionally want to marry a dead person, so he's trying to get himself out of the relationship so he can go back to the real world. But when he's found out talking to Victoria, Emily finds out and she gets furious. So the family of the bride thinks that Victor ran off with another woman, so they have to marry her off quickly. And so for the most part, the rest of the movie is them just trying to get out of their marriages, quote unquote. All in all, I really do like this movie. Not as much as Coraline, but I still place this up in my top 5 animated movies. Hey, what can I say? I'm a sucker for claymation and stop motion in general. I also like the story. It's short and simple, and it's just over an hour, so anyone can really watch this in an afternoon. Maybe have a double feature with Coraline. That's an idea.
So what do I give Corpse Bride? I give it a solid 3 stars. Like I said before, I don't like it as much as Coraline, or I like Coraline a lot more, but Corpse Bride's still up there. So if you want to introduce your kids to a scary movie, I highly recommend this one. Obviously there's Nightmare Before Christmas and Coraline. Those 3 are a pretty good start to introduce your kids into the horror genre. Alright, so that ends the kiddie movies. So we're going to go back to adult content tomorrow, and I think you'll be happily surprised at what I picked. So until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it's day 10 of my 31 days of Fright. Wow, we're already 1/3 of the way in. Crazy how time just happens to fly by. Well, since yesterday I did my Corpse Bride review, I'm going to do something more traditional in my view. This is a movie I've talked about before, so you'll definitely get another review today, so check that out. So what movie are we doing today? We're doing Come Back to Me. Yeah, I remember reviewing this for the first time when I first started doing these reviews 2 years ago. And I'll say it again. As I said before, I feel that this movie is an underappreciated classic. I'll go into a little more detail about how I found this movie just briefly later in the video, but I'll just say this. I was surprised about how much I liked this movie after watching it for the first time. And every time I watch it now, I just think to myself, damn, that's good. It's really good. So let's get into this. This is Come Back to Me.
So the main plot of the movie is this woman living with her husband come across a new neighbor of theirs that just is acting weird right off the gate. And I mean, this guy just looks weird. He's gonna shoot up his local high school weird. You know what I mean?
Are these for me?
Yeah, welcome to the hood.
Did you make them?
No, I'd be lying if I said I did.
So you didn't make them?
And the strange thing is, ever since this new guy moved into their street, weird stuff has just been happening to her lately. She keeps having nightmares about her getting murdered, and she always seems to wake up with palpitations and just is terrified. So in the meantime, the neighbor just keeps getting weirder and weirder. Oh, and just so you know, his name's Dale, by the way.
The U.S. Postal Service is bogged down in the most elaborate PSYOPs campaign in history. First, they fatten us up with all those 2-for-1 pizza coupons. Then when we're too logy to put up a fight, they sell us off to the Red Cross, who removes our kidneys, which go back on the pizzas to start the process all over again.
Yeah, he just seems to be more or less obsessed with her. And as the movie goes on, you start to notice he's being more aggressive towards how he portrays himself in front of her.
Where have you been?
Excuse me?
This last week, where have you been?
So after a few weeks of this torment that she's coming across, she decides to videotape herself sleeping because she wants to see if she's just doing something out of the ordinary as she's sleeping. Well, this is when she finds out that she's been getting murdered and raped multiple times a week. Almost every night, actually. You must be thinking to yourself, Hayden, how is that physically possible to kill somebody multiple times? Well, that's the thing. You know that new neighbor Dale? Apparently he has this supernatural gift to bring people back to life just by breathing in their mouths. Yeah, it's a pretty outlandish plot twist, but it's actually not that bad. Because, normally, like, in these, like, other movies, like, they would use their god gift to, like, save people or stuff like that. No, this guy, he basically uses it as a crutch so he doesn't develop socially. Like, this is how he basically gets girls and basically gets whatever he wants in life. And that's pretty disturbing. And you know what? I'm going to keep this one short because I feel like if I talk about this movie anymore, I'm just going to be spoiling it. And I'm not going to lie. When I first watched this with my pal Renee, we were just thinking to ourselves, yeah, this isn't too bad, but it's not that great. But when that ending comes up, we looked at each other and it was like, holy fucking shit. That ending basically made up the whole movie. Like, it made up for everything. It was just so good and unexpected that me and him didn't even suspect that to happen.
And what do I give Come Back to Me? I give it a solid 3.5 stars. I really think it's that good. I'll keep emphasizing this. I did not know how good this was going to be. I honestly think that this is just flown under the radar. Every time I watch it now, I'm just like, wow, like, more people need to see this. Granted, it's not on Amazon anymore. I'm pretty sure it's not on Netflix, but if you can find it, I highly recommend you check it out. So, like, for me, for instance, I liked it so much I bought the DVD, and I'm grateful that I did, because that means I can watch this forever and show it to other people that are interested into it. So, that's today's review. What comes out tomorrow? It's gonna be pretty interesting what's gonna come out tomorrow. You won't forget it. But until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Friends, family, random strangers on the internet, welcome to my YouTube channel at Hellmouth_94. Currently, I am in the middle of my 31 Days of Fright, where every day throughout the whole month of October, I watch one horror movie a day and do a review on my YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And today is day 11, and this movie just so happens to be one of the most controversial movies of all time. And especially in today's political climate of November of 2020, it is essential to give out a warning for this movie. So, warning, the following footage and video is not suitable for children, young and old, people with liberal arts degrees, social science degrees, gender studies degrees, any of the sort. If you get offended based on words alone or just situations alone, do not watch this video. This video is not suitable for you, and you should not watch it because you will not enjoy it. And do not harass me based on the fact that I am mentioning said movie. So this is your chance to just walk away and leave it alone. So why am I bringing this up? Because this movie's plot is basically Nazis torturing women. Let's roll.
That's right. Today's movie is Elsa, She-Wolf of the SS. Yeah, this is one of the big boys in the controversial category. I mean, ever since this thing came out in 1975, people have had issues with it. Yeah, this whole movie is basically under the category of Nazi-ploitation and sexploitation. I mean, like I said before, this whole movie is basically Nazis torturing women, and yeah, there's a lot of nudity in this movie. I mean, you can make a whole fucking tit sanctuary with this movie alone. And I also have to mention that this is a co-ed camp.
You call yourselves men? I see no manhood between your legs.
Yeah, it seems like to be a pretty progressive concentration camp, if you ask me. And I mean, this movie is super controversial. I mean, even in today's climate, I mean, you have Nazis torturing women, you got women Nazis, you got the men Nazis. There's just Nazis everywhere. So, what's the whole plot of this movie, actually, if there is a plot? Well, you might be surprised that there is, actually. So, the whole plot of this movie is that 15 women get sent to this medical concentration camp to where they actually do perform experiments on them.
There is no need for you to be afraid. This is no Dachau, no Ravensbrück. We are doctors, and we are here to help you. Your stay with us will be short, but in it you will be helped to serve the Third Reich.
And I want to take a moment here to say that there's actually a disclaimer in the beginning of this movie claiming that a lot of the torture methods in this movie were actually based on like real world accounts of like torture at these like medical places. So just to think that like what we're seeing in this movie could actually have been like real and like actually happen to people is just disturbing in on itself. Anyway, so we got Elsa, our main bitch of the Third Reich here, and she's the commandant of this concentration camp. And her job is basically to perform these experiments so the Third Reich can succeed in their plot for world domination. I mean, she does some wicked things to these women, I tell you what. I mean, one of them is in a pressurized chamber.
It's 6,000 meters, Commandant.
The Luftwaffe will have much for which to thank us.
Yeah.
The other one is literally being boiled alive.
Cold never bothered me anyway.
And there's definitely a lot of forced sterilization scenes. Or this one where there's maggots infected with typhus. So I guess the idea is that the woman is a carrier of it, and so she can infect other people.
Maggots. They have been infected with a new strain of typhus, so she will become a carrier.
Within 2 weeks, she will infect everything and everyone with whom she comes in contact.
Gott im Himmel. You could destroy an army.
So yeah, that's pretty much the rest of the movie. I mean, there's this other subplot about an American prisoner there, but I mean, it's not that big of a deal, and I don't really feel like it's worth mentioning. So that concludes my 11th day of my 31 Days of Fright, and yeah, that was a pretty nasty one. But would you believe that I have another one planned that's even worse than this movie, in my opinion? Well, you gotta wait and find out. Well, tomorrow's day 12. You wanna know what that movie is? Well, you gotta wait also till tomorrow. And until then, have a good one, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Hey guys, welcome to day 12 of my 31 Days of Fright. I know yesterday was more on the controversial side, you know, with Elsa, She-Wolf of the SS, but you know what? Today's going to be going back in time, you know, back to the 1950s in the golden age of science fiction horror. You know, this age seems to be forgotten unless you're a huge movie nerd like me, because a lot of movies are black and white, and you know there's some people out in the world that refuse to watch movies because they're in black and white? It's sad, really. Well, today's movie, we're going to talk about Them. Yeah, Them. 1954 science fiction classic. Well, let's get into this. This is Them.
So the plot of this 1950s sci-fi movie is actually not that complicated. So it starts out with a random girl just walking around the deserts of New Mexico, and the police just happen to find her.
Hey, honey! Hey, little girl! Little girl!
And you can tell she saw some real shit just by looking at her face. And so after investigating the trailer that she possibly stayed at and a local store, they come to realize that there's something bigger that's going on than just the isolated incident with a little girl.
Money wasn't taken here either.
Look, Ed, this is another 914. I'm gonna put in a call for the guys at the trailer to stop by. I want to get into headquarters and be there when that little girl starts talking.
I'll stick around and ride it with them.
But what is causing this? We don't really know, but it's something that we have not seen before. And this is the point where we get this different doctor just looking at the original site and the food market, and he has a conclusion to what's causing these events.
Over 12 centimeters. 12!
That would make the entire...
About 2.5 meters in length. Over 8 feet. See if there are more.
Then, his predictions were accurate. What were the cause of these events? Giant ants. So they come up with a plan to destroy the ant nest by making the surface hot and then throwing gas in there so it kills all the ants inside the nest. But the only way to confirm is to get in the nest and get up and personal with these guys. But they come to find out that there was 2 queen eggs that hatched, and apparently they're not there anymore, so that they fear that the 2 queen ants have flown somewhere else to reproduce and cause more nests throughout the country. So the rest of the movie is them trying to get on the case to find out where these queen ants are, because apparently if these ants are not contained, they can destroy humanity within a year.
Because unless you solve it, unless these queens are located and destroyed before they've established thriving colonies and can produce, heaven alone knows how many more queen ants, man, as the dominant species of life on Earth, will probably be extinct.
So they happen to find one of these ants in the sewers of Los Angeles, of all places. I guess all 50s movies had to end up in LA at some point or the other.
It's difficult to tell from this vantage point whether they will consume the captive Earthmen or merely enslave them. One thing is for certain, there is no stopping them. The ants will soon be here. And I, for one, welcome our new insect overlords. I'd like to remind them that as a trusted TV personality, I can be helpful in rounding up others to toil in their underground sugar caves.
And this is where we get the climactic ending of where they flamethrower the nest and burn them all to death.
Well, this reporter was possibly a little hasty earlier. Would like to reaffirm his allegiance to this country and its human president. May not be perfect, but it's still the best government we have. For now. Oh, yes.
You might be asking yourself, this movie seems to have a lot of things that I think I've seen before, but I can't really put my mind to it. Well, if you're thinking that, you actually will be surprised to find out that this movie was the inspiring plot of Aliens. Yeah, you probably didn't think about that. Like, well, if you think about it, like now, we have the traumatized little girl that saw something horrific and can't talk. We have giant alien-like creatures destroying things and killing all the peoples. Then at the very end, they use flamethrowers to burn the nest of the queen ant. It seems like Aliens to me. Well, that's what James Cameron thought when he was making Aliens. Who knew? See, it's just funny to show that when we think of like commonplace movies such as Aliens, they actually do trace the origins back to the 50s with these sci-fi movies. So what do I give them? Solid 4 stars, another 4-star review from this marathon. It's just a classic movie. If you haven't seen it, go check it out, because like I said before, it inspired Aliens and other science fiction horror movies to come. And you know what? Since this is an insect movie, I'm going to decide to do the next 4 movies to be insect movies. Yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool. So tomorrow will be another insect movie, but which one is that? You have to find out. And until then, make sure to like and subscribe on this channel and on this video. And make sure to check out my written review in my Instagram and Facebook. Well, today's day 11, tomorrow's day 12. It's going to be a fun one for the next few days. Have a good one. Hey guys, welcome to day 13 of my 31 days of fright. And we're going to do another insect video. Well, not really an insect, but bug.
slimy thing. Today's movie's gonna be slugs. Yeah, slugs. This one's an interesting one. When you think of a slug, you just think some slimy little thing. You're not gonna eat anybody, but that's the nature of the beast with these kinds of movies. Well, let's get into this. This is Slugs.
So at the beginning of the film, we meet our main character who runs the health department of this small town. He's riding along with the sheriff to evict some guy out of his house, and that's when we discover that he's been eaten alive, but they have no idea what caused this. And this is when our main antagonist starts to realize that they have some type of infestation problem with some black slugs. Yeah, these black slugs start to infest everything, including this guy's greenhouse, and this is when they start attacking him, and this is when we discover that the black slugs are carnivorous and like to eat people. But at least we get this cool greenhouse scene out of it. An exploding greenhouse, you gotta love it. After that explosion, we discover that our main guy has a few peaceful protesters on his lawn.
Jesus Christ, those things are big.
I told you they were big.
Big, they're gigantic. Damn thing bit me.
And you know, back in the past, they usually take like specimens like this to a university or a lab. Well, not this time. They take it to the high school lab where his wife works. Okay, this is the most unrealistic thing I have ever seen. We actually have a high school teacher that knows what he's doing and he doesn't rely on a teacher's edition. That's very unbelievable to me. This is when our main antagonist starts to put the pieces together and thinks that the slugs are causing all these deaths.
Oh, no.
Whoa. I think I just figured something out, Beavis.
What?
This sucks.
Yeah, it really sucks.
So this is when they discovered that the slugs might have originated from the sewers, and apparently the area where they're from used to be a toxic waste dump back in the past, and they think that when they're building a new mall there, they might have broken open a sealed area to releasing all the deadly spawn.
This is it. This is where they filled it in. And it's the exact center of where they planned to put that shopping center.
So they come up with a way to kill all these things by making them explode. So the problem is that they need to keep them all together for it to work. And this is when we get our climactic ending to where one of our other main characters gets eaten to death. And they kill all the slugs. Or do they?
Yeah, I give this movie like 2.5 stars all in all. I mean, it's pretty interesting. If you like this kind of stuff, I highly do recommend it. You can find it on Amazon Prime for free. But as like someone to recommend it, like in general, I would mostly watch it for the kills because they're pretty interesting. But other than that, yeah. Well, tomorrow we continue our insect special marathon, little mini marathon, whatever. And what's that movie? We gotta find out tomorrow. And until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it's day 14 of my 31 Days of Fright marathon. And the last few days I did like insect movies, you know, like little creepy crawly little things. We're going to continue that today. And what's today's movie? Well, it comes from one of our greatest producers of all time in the low class movie, B-movie category, Roger Corman. Yeah, Roger Corman produced this movie and a lot of other movies, but we're going to talk about this one specifically. So what's this movie? The Nest. Yeah, The Nest. Yeah, what can you really have with The Nest? I mean, a lot of things have nests, like bees have nests, well, they have hives, but you get the idea. So, what is today's insect? Because it is an insect this time. So what is it? Well, let's go in and find out. This is The Nest.
Yes, we're getting into one of the nitty-gritty of these animal attack films. You know, everyone's favorite insect. We're talking about cockroaches today with this movie. Yeah, it seems like everyone that doesn't really care for insects specifically hate cockroaches for some weird reason. I don't really know why, but it just seems to be the case. Anyway, so what's the whole plot of this movie? Well, the plot starts out in this small, island little town. Kind of reminds me of Jaws with their little, beach town. Yeah, you know, the typical sheriff walking around dating the diner waitress. You know, you got the exterminator riding his moped around. You know, classic stuff. Then they realize they have a problem with some roaches, but not any kind of roaches. These roaches swarm you and eat you. Or any other animal attacks movie. Typical stuff.
You're biting my hand.
Take your hand out. Take your hand out.
And do you know how they determine that these cockroaches eat things? They use a fucking cat as bait. I mean, come on. You could have used anything else. You could have used, meat, ground beef, or a steak. No, let's get the motherfucking cat to be our bait, fuckers. Anyway, it seems like these cockroaches just eat everything to the bone in sight. Well, we come to find out that these cockroaches were an experiment. An experiment of what? Well, we'll come to that later. But yeah, these cockroaches are raining hell over this town. I mean, they fucking take over everything. They take over the diner, they take over this, they take over the good junkyard, this guy's trailer, you know, everything. So we get to the point of why these cockroaches even exist. Apparently there was an experiment to try to kill all the roaches by using roaches. Yeah, I guess the idea was that they would introduce roaches that would eat roaches, and that the roaches that ate the roaches would die off in one generation, so the other roaches wouldn't eat anything else when they killed the roaches. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me too. Yeah, but the cool thing is that the roaches actually, when they eat something or they keep something alive and they don't kill it right away, it mutates into a roach. You know that cat that they just had? It turned into a roach cat.
Homer, go upstairs and get my gun.
Pretty weird. And yes, we have to get the human cockroach hybrid thing. This scene kind of reminds me of The Fly, you know, with Jeff Goldblum turning into the Fly. It's obviously not as good, but you know, it's something for a low-budget Roger Corman production. It does the job. So anyway, they're actually on the niche of time because apparently the military or some government organization of some type is trying to come in and basically exterminate the whole island so those roaches don't go on the mainland. I mean, pretty excessive. They're planning on gassing in a whole island to kill these things. But apparently if they ignite the lighthouse, that gives them a signal to that everything's clear and they can't bomb the place with smoke and gas. And that's pretty much the movie. Pretty short and sweet.
You know what I give The Nest? I give it a solid 3 stars. It's actually not that bad. I mean, if you're a fan of Roger Corman, you're definitely going to like this one. Definitely classic low B range horror movie. But that's what Roger Corman's good at, you know? You know what you're getting at when you're watching something produced by Roger Corman. So, if you like that stuff and haven't seen it, it's actually not that bad. You can check it out on Amazon Prime, and tomorrow's our last insect movie. What is it going to be, Hayden? Well, you gotta wait till tomorrow. And until then, have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, welcome to day 15 of my 31 days of Fright. And we're halfway through my marathon. Crazy, it just seemed like I started this out yesterday. Well, today is the last day of our insect creepy crawly little mini marathon I've done. So I think I picked the best for last, or I picked a movie for last. How about that? So what's today's movie? It's Tick. Yeah, from 1996, I believe. Yeah, you know, all these movies just start to like play the same, you know, like here's a monster or a creature, then they kill people, then like something explodes. They're all the same, but they're still entertaining as fuck to watch. So let's get into this. This is Ticks.
So yeah, what is the plot to this Ticks movie, you might be asking? Well, I'll be happy to tell you. Well, the movie first off begins at this pot farm that just happens to be ran by a hamster in a wheel, if you can wrap your mind around that one. And yeah, so apparently the pot chemicals actually get into these tick eggs to cause them to mutate to get bigger. And they say marijuana doesn't kill people. Psh, read a Bible. So the next scene, we get an introduction to our main characters, which are basically troubled youth, and they're going on a camping trip to clean their act up. And one of these kids just happens to be Seth Green. I don't know if he ever made a joke about it on Robot Chicken or anything, but if he hasn't, he should do it in the future. That's just my idea, though. But yeah, you get your typical kids that are fucked up going to camp. You get the slut that happens to be the daughter of said owner. You get the schizophrenic. You get the badass motherfucker that's actually a big pussy at the end. Then we get the rich douchebag kids. I mean, you got everything here. One big smorgasbord. Yeah, just so you know that this pot farm is actually owned by that idiot from Waterboy. Yeah, that guy. Just so you know. I don't really know his name, but I'll just keep referring to him as the Waterboy guy.
Rats.
So yeah, when these kids get to their cabin, they start to realize there's these giant eggs just hanging around the area. Like, where the hell did these come from? So this is when we get to our first victim of these ticks, a dog. Yeah, this is the second movie that an animal is actually the first victim of these creatures or animals that attack. Pretty weird. Yeah, after watching about 30 minutes of this movie, you start to realize there's not a lot of tick action, if you know what I mean. A lot of it is just these kids just talking to the adults and vice versa about their problems and yada yada yada. I don't want to hear about kids' problems. I want to see them get murdered by some fucking ticks, damn it. Yeah, and after the dog gets attacked, we actually do get this pretty cool scene when they're actually extracting the tick out of the dog at the veterinarian. It's pretty cool.
Where the hell did you people come from?
God, hang on.
Ooh, and he gets smashed. Ooh, that's gross. Looks like a fucking pimple being popped.
When in doubt, squish.
Now this is when the movie starts getting interesting. When the ticks actually start attacking people. So yeah, I think I should mention this because it's somewhat part of the movie. That there's these two random guys that just been kind of like harassing the kids because they're pot dealers and they want to protect their crop and just, I'll just leave it to that. But it's not really that big of a deal. The reason why I bring this up is because apparently one of the guys that was trying to run away from the camp actually catches himself into their pot growing field and they accidentally light it on fire, causing a forest fire to where all the ticks come out and start attacking the cabin where the kids are staying at. And this is when that kid that initially ran away comes back and he's full of ticks and he ends up dying. Boo-hoo. And this is when they find out that the two guys that are in their cabin have been the operators of the pot farms. And so when they find that out, the two guys get really hostile and want to leave without them and let them die. So the guy sends his henchman to get the van, but the guy got bit one too many times and starts to hallucinate and thinks that his boss is a cop that he killed previously. And you know what he does? He runs him over into the house, basically destroying the cabin. Nice. But he actually didn't kill him, and this is when the group start to fight back against him. So yeah, you know that kid that died because he had too many bites from ticks? Well, this is the part of the movie where he actually starts to become a tick. Yeah, the transformation scene's actually pretty cool and neat, and it's probably the best part of the whole movie. So he ends up killing the other dude. About time. And this is when Seth Green's character kicks his ass into gear, and he saves the day by getting the van and driving everybody out of harm's way as the cabin's burning right behind him. Oh, do I mean catches on fire? I mean it motherfucking explodes. So yeah, they drive off into the distance. And everything's fine. Nothing's going on. And they killed all the ticks. Or did they?
Far-fetched fairy tale, too unbelievable,
So what do I give Ticks? I give it 2.5 stars. Out of all the 4 movies, I'd probably recommend this one like the least, maybe, because not a lot of stuff really happens. Definitely Slugs and The Nest I would recommend the most out of all of them. But it's still not a bad movie. It's actually on Amazon Prime, but it's like the IMDb TV version, so there's commercials in it. If you're interested in these monsters, like these monsters or like animals attack things, go check it out. Just say you saw it. It's funny seeing Seth Green in it, like actually as like a young kid. I don't know. It's just I always find it hilarious seeing like well-known actors as their kid actors, right? I don't know. Well, that's day 15 of my 31 Days of Fright. We got 16 more of these. And it's about to get good. So, what's tomorrow's movie? We gotta wait and find out. And until then, have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it is day 16 of my 31 Days of Fright. And hope you're enjoying my marathon so far. So, what's today's movie? Well, this movie is kind of interesting because the first time I've ever heard of this movie was based on an intro to another video. What am I talking about?
Our friendly staff is always there to help out, and with our state-of-the-art database software, it's easy to find exactly what you're looking for, even if it sucks. Even if it sucks.
Yeah, we're doing this movie. Yeah, it's called Uninvited. And the cover of it, this screams out, what the fuck is this? Well, let's get into it. This is Uninvited.
So the beginning of this movie starts out with 2 scientists just working on a cat. I mean, just playing with it, petting on it, no worries. Then the cat gets out and everyone's going freaking apeshit.
Code red. ST-618 has escaped. Use extreme caution. Radiation security.
I mean, why? It's a cat. I mean, what is it gonna do? Kill people? Oh my god.
Oh Lord, it's gonna be one of those movies, is it? Well, we gotta get started on it early.
Well, that was interesting. Hope it doesn't get any worse than that. So, the cat ends up escaping the lab. Then we meet up with these 2 lovely ladies on their spring break trip in Florida, where they meet this really wealthy guy at a hotel just out of the blue. And this gentleman happens to invite them on a party yacht later that day.
And you are coming to the party, right? Starts about midnight on my yacht. I'll send a limo back here to get you. Should be fun.
But the real intentions is not what you think. He actually is doing this so he can have an alibi, because apparently he's being investigated by the government for like money fraud or something. I don't know. They never really explained that part.
Damn it, the girls aren't on board.
Good. Let's get the hell out of here before they come back.
But you just don't get it, do you? Don't you think 2 pretty girls on a cruise makes a good cover?
And right before they're about to get on this boat, the 2 ladies find themselves 3 young guys just to hang out with, and they invite them on the yacht also. And this is when we meet our main monster animal, the kitty cat. And they just happen to bring it on board. Wow, I can't see anything going wrong here. So yeah, when they're on the ship, the cat starts to get out of its mouth. I mean, I guess the cat's got its tongue, but it's the cat that has the cat's tongue? I don't know.
Well, I mean, who decided to make a fucking movie about cats? But it's not even like the cat itself mutates, you know? It's a mutated cat in the cat, and he like regurgitates out of his mouth to kill people. So what happens to the regular cat? I don't know, but this is definitely gonna help it out.
But one of the guys happens to find out apparently the cat, when it gets into contact with food, it contaminates the food. And what happens to the people that are contaminated?
Oh, it seems to me like our cat might administer that very same chemical when it bites.
Oh, no, please. I don't really want to go there. But if I must, I will. Please don't. Please. Please. Please don't. Okay, we can save this baby for later.
I'm glad that didn't happen with the way I thought, because I'm already pretty lit and I'm already like 30 minutes into the movie. So after that thing happened, apparently the rest of the people on the boat start to freak out because they can't eat the food because they don't know if the cat was exposed to it. So it kind of goes into this weird like ship mutiny, like they can't trust anything or anyone, like fucking cabin fever, but on a boat in the water. So eventually the cat just starts killing everyone one by one until the ship starts sinking because they act stupid and shoot up the fucking boat. And so two of our main characters happen to get on a lifeboat, and everything's swell, everything's good, and fuck, the thing's still alive. Okay, it's dead now because cats can't swim, you know. So everything's good, everything's fine. I'm like, oh my god, the same thing. It looks like they literally just copied and pasted the last scene to this scene. And you know what? The guy ends up getting a briefcase for $1 million. How do you know that? Well, let me just explain this. The guy just happens to have millions upon millions of dollars in his boat for reasons. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say about that. But anyway, so they take the money out of the case and they throw the case into the water. And oh my god, that is hilarious. The cat's just sitting there on the case just floating like, why? Why me? I didn't do anything wrong. Oh god. And yeah, that's the end of the movie.
Wow, that was an interesting movie. And you know what? It did suck. I mean, I had a drink to get through this movie, but in that aspect of the movie, it's fucking hilarious. I mean, it's just so over the top. Like, a cat, mutated cat, lives in a regular cat as like a shell. Then, when he gets threatened, he gets out of the cat from its mouth to kill people. And that end scene just made me laugh my ass off. I mean, you just see on the little fucking case and everything just floating around. Great shit. Well, that ends day 16 of my 31 Days of Fright. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please like and subscribe to this channel. And make sure to read my written review on my Instagram and Facebook. And what's tomorrow's movie, you might ask? Well, you gotta wait till tomorrow. And until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it's day 17 of my 31 Days of Fright, and we got something pretty interesting today. I actually went to the video store today to pick out some movies, check out what to do, and I found this one just chilling on the shelf. Mandy. I never really heard of it. I just know it stars Nicolas Cage, and yeah, it's funny how VHS is still a thing, I thought it would be in a dead format and all. But yeah, let's check it out. This is Mandy.
So yeah, let's get started with this movie. So the beginning is basically just your typical LSD fever dream with all the colors and morphing shapes around everything. The only other movie I can compare this with is Midsummer, but obviously Midsummer is not this in-depth with their psychedelic scenes in the background and with all the crazy trippy colors. I mean, it takes a little bit of time to get used to it, but once you actually start to accept it, it's actually pretty cool. Oh yeah, Nick Cage is also in this movie. You know it's going to be good if Nick Cage is in your movies. You're just wondering what the fuck is he going to do. Anyway, so the plot mostly revolves around him and his wife just chilling out in the log cabin that they built in the Northwest, just living out their lives, you know? That's until his wife was walking home one day where some random dude just watched her walk from the car. Pretty simple stuff, happens every day, but no, apparently this guy is some sadist cult leader and he basically becomes obsessed with her. So through the power of the ocarina, he summons 3 demon motorcyclists to kidnap her and Nicolas Cage. Yeah, and their cult group drugs her up, and we get this weird scene where he's talking to her as he's playing a song from his own album, and this scene's pretty weird where he's talking to her but the two faces morph into each other. It's pretty sweet, actually. It's definitely something you don't see every day. But she starts laughing at him and he gets so pissed off about this he decides to burn her right in front of Cage. And you don't want to do that to Cage, man. When you piss off the Cage gets pissed off at you, and you do not want that. And this is when the movie starts to become like a revenge movie, you know? Typical stuff, but it's actually played off really well here. So after seeing his wife get killed, he goes on a murderous rampage to find the demon bikers and kill them off one by one. And after killing off the biker bandits, he goes off for the elder cultists and he eventually gets to the leader. And he fucking smashes his face together. Woo! Damn, that's Nick Cage for you. If anything, I actually like the second half of this movie a lot better than anything. It's just so action-packed and it's just brutal, you know? Because Nick Cage is brutal in general. And you know if Nick Cage is in your movie, like I said before, you're going to get something pretty cool. And this definitely delivers. Wow, that was a trip and a half. I mean, I don't know how they were able to do all that with the VHS tape and all, but you know what? Pretty interesting film. It's definitely on the side of the artsy-fartsy kind of film, but you know what? When it starts to get when they capture Mandy and Nicolas Cage goes on that huge fucking bloodthirsty rager, that's when it starts getting good in my opinion. I don't know, I'm not really a big fan of the whole acid trip fucking lava lamp color synopsis setting. I don't care. But everything else is pretty solid. I would highly recommend this one. You can actually find it on Shudder and I believe Amazon Prime, but I'm not really sure about that. So, well, that completes day 17 of my 31 days. And what's tomorrow's video? You gotta wait and find out. And until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, this is just a little extra bonus content for you guys, because you guys are probably thinking that this was a fake VHS tape. Well, it's not actually. I actually bought this with my own money from another person. And I'm going to prove it to you right now. So, you know, here's the case of it. Here's the VHS tape. Here's my VCR, just to prove that there's nothing in. Okay, I'm going to turn on my VCR. Here it goes.
Primordial sky.
There you are. There it is. It's a real VHS tape of Mandy. I'm a cool guy like that. Hey guys, welcome to day 18 of my 31 Days of Fright. And what's today's movie? Well, here's a little bit of background. So yesterday I went to the video store to get my Mandy VHS tape. Well, they have these things called DVDs now, and I just happened to pick up this one. It's called Attack of the Killer Bees. Yeah, it has 10 cult bee movies on here. And I mean, for $10, I can't really pass it up. So I was like, which one of these 10 movies should I pick? Well, I actually did put it on a wheel and I did spin it, and this is what the results were. So it looks like we're doing Attack of the Giant Leeches today. Yeah, that looks interesting. Well, let's get into it. This is Attack of the Giant Leeches.
Well, the beginning of the movie's pretty simple. We got a guy just canoeing around the swamp until he encounters something he's never had before. A giant pulsating limb of some sort. He shoots it, goes back to his buddies in the grocery store. And okay, before I continue on with the plot of the movie, I have to say that the way this film is shot is complete utter shit. I mean, I could barely see what's going on in the whole movie. It's so dark. And all the shadowing and the lighting is just terrible where you can't see anything. And it just gets more apparent throughout the movie. But that's just my little side rant, for now at least. And do you know what the funny thing is? This movie is only 1 hour long. It's like an hour and 10 minutes actually. And I swear to God, you do not see one of these leech things until halfway through the movie. Yes, you do not see an attack of a giant leech until the 28-minute mark. I mean, that is pretty excessive. I mean, that's unacceptable. You do not wait halfway through your movie. Granted, it is an hour, but still, it's the principle, damn it. Because the first half is more or less just, hey, there's this woman and her husband, and she's cheating on him.
You want something, Cal?
I sure do, honey.
And you get this other guy that works for the Fish and Wildlife Department or some shit.
Well, these poachers know the swamps like the back of their hands. But I'll catch one of them in the act some night and put him away for 6 months.
And they're like, yeah, something's going on, but
Sawyer wasn't killed by an alligator.
Is that so? Did you hear that, Morton? Game Warden Benton says it wasn't a gator killed Lem. Well, then what was it? You know so much, go on, tell me. What killed him?
And it's not until the husband actually discovers that his wife's been cheating on him where we actually do get an attack, because when he actually catches them in the act, he runs them off into the swamp with a shotgun and pretty much forces them into the water, unknowingly that there's giant leeches in there. But that's 28 minutes in. A little long, don't you think? Anyway, and this is where we actually do get to see our giant leeches. And to be honest, for something that just came out of the 50s, the late 50s, and for a low B shitty movie like this, they actually do a pretty good job on the leech costumes, I must say. They actually do look somewhat convincing. I don't know if a giant leech would actually look like that, but you know what? It looks pretty good. And then we find out that the leeches have been harboring these people. I don't really know why, but they don't really explain it. They just know oh, people are being kidnapped. And that's pretty much all the exposition we're gonna get on that. So they decide to go out and search around the swamp to look for these missing persons. And they decide to blow up the water with dynamite because apparently there's a cavern that they might suspect that they're in, and apparently the explosion would cause them to get out of that cavern so they can float to the surface. Yeah, I don't know. So one of the ladies actually doesn't get out of the cavern through the dynamite explosion, and they actually have to send in a scuba diver to get her out. And then when they get her out, they blow up the leech squid things. Yeah, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. It just ends right there. Nothing special.
So yeah, that was a pretty short one today. Pretty simple. Not that bad. It's okay. I mean, even for a low B movie from the 50s, this is pretty out there. But if you're interested in these old sci-fi 50s movies, you can actually find this on Amazon Prime. I would recommend it just to give it a watch. So that means I would give it probably 2 stars out of 4. So it's average for me. Well, that completes day 18 of my 31 Days of Fright. And do you know what tomorrow's movie's going to be? Well, you gotta wait and find out. And until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it's day 19 of my 31 Days of Fright, and I hope you're enjoying the marathon. I have. And so, what's today's movie? Well, today's movie is another Roger Corman produced movie, Night of the Cobra Woman. Yeah, this one is definitely one of the more interesting films that I have encountered on Amazon Prime, which you can check out if you want. So yeah, let's get into this. This is Night of the Cobra Woman.
So yeah, you might be asking yourself, what is the plot of this Night of the Cobra Woman, you might be asking? Well, it's pretty simple. You get this college student that's a biologist trying to make antivenom from cobras, and she wants to find a cobra of this specific species with a red diamond on its chest, and apparently it doesn't exist, supposedly. Well, her main goal is to find out if she can find this cobra so she can study the venom to make anti-venom with it. And apparently the only evidence that shows that one of these cobras exists is by this woman that just lives out in the middle of nowhere, and she's the last known person to ever document the snake's appearance. So she goes out there to try to find this snake woman, but she gets blown off, and so she comes back again with her boyfriend for some strange reason, I don't know, and he discovers that he starts to get feelings for this Cobra Woman. Yeah, it's kind of weird. And this is where we find out that the snake that she's been talking about actually does exist. But it's more interesting than you think. So apparently this woman also becomes a snake, but the rules of this movie is that the snake has venom to keep her young and not become a snake. So she basically is only human when she gets injected with the snake's venom. So if the snake continues to live, she'll be young forever, supposedly. And if the snake dies, she has to sleep with people to suck the life force out of them so she can be younger, but it won't work as good as venom. So throughout this movie, you'll see guys that look like really old. That's why. Pretty interesting, to say the least. So her boyfriend actually gets jungle fever, if you know what I mean, and actually sleeps with this woman, and so he basically gets old too. But the thing is, she gives him venom so he can be young again. And we get this weird thing where when she sleeps with somebody, she has really dry skin. Well, that's supposed to be scales from a snake, saying that it's she can't transform into a snake, and she actually does transform into a snake a few times. Then at the end of the movie, she's like, you know what, I don't want to be a human no more, I want to be a snake.
How much longer must I remain in this ridiculous human form? I can no longer be prey to these stupid and wasteful human emotions and instincts.
And if you want to live long, you have to protect me, because that's your job now. And he's like, shit, I don't really want to do that. But then he decides to do it, and that's pretty much the end of the movie.
So yeah, this movie's kind of I mean, out of all the movies so far on my marathon, I'd probably recommend this one the least. I don't know, it was just kind of more or less boring, not really entertaining to watch. It was kind of hard for me to finish it, to be completely honest. But the thing is, it's only an hour and 15 minutes long. Not the worst movie I've ever seen, just something I wouldn't really recommend to anybody. It's definitely forgettable. But like I said, it's on Amazon Prime, so if you're interested in checking it out, it's on there. So that completes day 19 of my 31 days. And what's tomorrow's movie? We gotta wait and find out. And until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it's day 20 of my 31 Days of Fright. And just imagine, there's going to be 10 more movies starting tomorrow left. Crazy how time just seems to fly by when you're having fun. Well, what's today's movie? Well, it's a pretty interesting one. I'm going to be doing a movie by the same director as The Witch. And yeah, if you remember reading that a few years ago, I wasn't very fond of that movie. I had my issues with it. Maybe I can get to that sometime, but that's besides the point. So today's movie is done by Roger Egers, and it's The Lighthouse. Ooh, The Lighthouse. I heard a lot of good things about it so far. I'm gonna go check it out. So this is The Lighthouse.
Alright, let's see what we're getting ourselves into with this one. Right off the bat, I do have to give this film credit for being filmed in black and white. I mean, not a lot of modern films do that anymore, because why would you want to film it in black and white? Just do everything in color, right? Well, I always felt that black and white films always had that special, uniqueness to it. Like, you have to imagine what colors would be in the film. I don't know, it just adds another layer of uniqueness to the film. So we're off to a good start so far. I also like the setting. I mean, two guys in a lighthouse just by themselves in the middle of fucking nowhere. I mean, that's pretty brutal, and just trying not to go batshit insane in that setting has always been something of intrigue for me. It's kind of like cabin fever in a way. And I also want to mention that it's great to see Batman and Green Goblin be in a movie finally. I've been waiting for that. And another thing I noticed while this movie began is that it pretty much starts off the same way as The Witch. Not in the same, setting and location, but just, the atmosphere and the growth of the movie. I mean, both movies start off with practically no dialogue for, the first 10 minutes or so. It's just to give you room to breathe and observe the land around you, just to, get a feel of what the characters are in and what environment they're actually going to be in for the duration of the film. So, with that in mind, I'm starting to get a little worried. But let's continue. But on a serious note, it seems like William Dafoe's character is inspired by the ship captain from The Simpsons.
Clean built and trig looking. None more fleet in 64 than she. We were on the brakes. A mutiny it were. Why, ask you why?
'Tis no man, 'tis a remorseless eating machine. Arr.
So let's get into the plot. Our main two characters are basically just stuck on a lighthouse for 4 weeks to perform their duties of operating the thing. And right off the bat, Robert Pattinson's character is just not thrilled to being here at all.
Contradict me again, and I'll dock your wages. You hear me, lad?
Aye, sir.
And as he's there, you can just see from his facial expressions that he's just not having a good time. He just wants to get through these 4 weeks and just get the hell out. But he always keeps getting shit from William Dafoe's character because that's his boss. And he keeps telling him to do mundane tasks and just shit for him to do so he doesn't get bored and go insane.
Boredom makes men to villains and the water goes quick, lad. Vanished.
After being there for a while, he starts to have these weird hallucinations to where he thinks that something else is going on, and it's not until one night where he's checking out the lighthouse he sees something he shouldn't have seen. And this causes him to lose his shit and beat the living fuck out of this seagull. I mean, my god, who does he think he is, Chris Brown? But apparently, killing a seagull is bad luck. Why?
In them's the souls of sailors, what met their maker.
That's why. And this just seems to happen right before he's done with his 4 weeks of work, and gee, I wonder what's going to happen now. He just happens to find a mermaid. Yeah, just chilling there, just washed up on shore. Or did he? Oh yeah, and the ship didn't come after all. Gee, I didn't see that coming. And this is part of the movie where it actually starts to get really interesting because it seems like nothing's really making sense after this point. Apparently, in his mind, it was only a day late that the ship didn't come, but apparently to him it was weeks. And now he's changing his stories about how he limps. It's the beginning of something good, I can tell. So as a consequence for being on this rock for too long, Robert Pattinson's character just starts to go fucking insane and start imagining all this stuff. And he starts to like indulge in his fantasies of being nuts, and he just starts to go insane. Yeah, and the ending is pretty weird, so I'm just gonna leave that out, cause yeah, it's definitely out there.
Damn. Yeah, that's a pretty wacky ending if I ever saw one. You know what? I must say, I actually do prefer this movie over The Witch. There's, like, for me, The Witch started here and it ended here. The Lighthouse was, like, right here, but it stayed that way constantly throughout the movie. I was not bored at any time. I was just genuinely interested from the beginning to the end. So, me personally, if you like The Witch more, that's your opinion. But this is my show, so it's mine, so I'm right. So I actually do like The Lighthouse more than The Witch. So yeah, that completes my day 20 of my 31 Days of Fright. Hope you liked it. If you did like it, please like and subscribe and leave a comment. And make sure to read my written reviews on my Instagram and Facebook. Yeah, so what's tomorrow's movie, Hayden? Well, I'm not telling you. You gotta wait till tomorrow, damn it. Well, until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it is day 21 of my 31 Days of Fright. And what's today's movie? Well, today's movie is a classic. We're going to talk about The Invisible Man. No, not that one. Not that piece of shit. No, we're going to talk about the original 1933 Universal classic. You know what? Like, I always try to do one of these Universal movies like once a year, like at least one, just to show my appreciation, to show how far we actually went along. And The Invisible Man is personally my second favorite of the Universal monster movies. Yeah, and this one also stars Gloria Stewart in one of her first roles.
Who's that? What? I'd fuck her.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking to a millennial audience. How would I best describe her? Oh, she's Rose from Titanic.
Oh, I didn't know that. You're so smart, Hayden. I'd fuck her still.
Fucking weirdos. Anyway, let's get into this. This is Invisible Man.
I'm just going to be straight up and just keep this review just short and sweet and simple, because any horror fan has seen this movie in the past. Why should I talk about it? I just want to talk about it a little bit just to acknowledge its existence. Say I did watch it for my review. And if you haven't seen this movie, which shame on you if you haven't, here's the plot. The plot basically evolves around this guy that basically made a serum that turns himself invisible. Pretty simple stuff. I mean, it's from the 1940s, what do you expect? But the thing is, it works too well, and he cannot go back to being visible. So he's trying to make a serum that would make him go back to being visible. But the thing is, the chemicals that he used to make himself invisible apparently makes the person crazy. So he starts to go on these like murderous rampages. Well, I shouldn't say murderous. He just kind of does stupid jokes here and there, like throwing stuff, walking around, just hitting people in the nuts. Just, you know, stuff you would normally do when you're invisible. At least you would think.
Here we go gathering nuts in May, nuts in May, nuts in May. Here we go gathering nuts in May on a cold and frosty morning. Whoops!
In the middle of this movie, we have another doctor, well, two of them actually, and her daughter, which basically is our romantic interest, who is played by Gloria Stewart. And as the film goes on, he just starts getting crazier and crazier, and he basically forces his other doctor buddy to help him out. But obviously, he's scared shitless, and he calls the cops to get him out of there. So do you know how they end up getting this guy? They end up doing a fucking chain gang, like holding hands together to trap him in there. But obviously that doesn't work, and he gets off. Yeah, and how they really do find him is that he was sleeping in a barn, and the guy who owns the barn heard him snoring.
Excuse me, sir. There's breathing in my barn.
He calls the cops, they set the barn on fire, and he comes out, they shoot the guy. What a way to go.
Well, like I said, I was like, keep it short and sweet, because I really want to encourage you guys just to watch it. I mean, it's a classic. If you're a fan of horror movies, you should have seen it by now. But if you haven't, you definitely check it out. I know it's not like the most well-known, or well, kinda. It's like more of like the B+ categories, or like the very low, like the A's. He's not like the big like Dracula, Wolfman, Mummy, but he still deserves to be watched. You know, he's still pretty good. So that completes day 21 of my 31 days of fright. So what's tomorrow's movie, Hayden? Well, you gotta wait and find out. And until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it is day 22 on my 31 days of fright. And what's today's movie? Well, you know how a few weeks ago, well, a few days ago actually, that when I did Elsa, She-Wolf of the SS, and I said, you know what, there's a movie that's worse than this one. Well, we're gonna talk about that movie, and that movie is Bloodsucking Freaks. Yeah, today we're getting really nasty in this one. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. Well, anyway, let's get into this. This is Bloodsucking Freaks.
Okay, I'm gonna be straight up with you guys when I'm talking about Bloodsucking Freaks. I don't even know where to begin with this one. It is just a trip in on itself. You know when you hear people say like, oh, this movie's the bottom of the barrel? Yeah, I bet you probably heard of it. It could be anything, just like bottom shelf, just garbage, right? Well, I don't even consider this movie to be the bottom of the barrel. I consider it underneath the barrel. Yeah, I consider this like the black sheep of all movies. I mean, like this movie is just straight up offensive, gory, and all the good stuff that you're looking for. Let's use trauma as an example to what I'm trying to get at. So you have trauma movies that are like Toxic Avenger, Terror Firmer, Trauma Wars, Poultrygeist, where for the most part they're anti-movies. They're more of like a big middle finger to the mainstream movie makers like Fox, Universal, all of them. And you get Bloodsucking Freaks where it's like, it's kind of like that, but I would consider this to be even worse because at least with trauma movies, they were made to be like anti-movies. They're made to have fun with. You can tell just by how they're written and shot and everything. They're meant to just be stupid fun that's offensive and gory and all that stuff. With Bloodsucking Freaks, on the other hand, I cannot tell if this is supposed to be a joke, a big middle finger to the movie industry. I don't know. I really don't know what to say about it. I guess I can start with the plot. I mean, I've been talking about this thing for 2 minutes straight, and so let's get into it. So, it's pretty fair. It's pretty simple. It's about this dude that performs like these like live action like magic shows, where he's basically showing an audience of people like torturing women and stuff.
Tonight, we begin with torture. Again, I warn you that if you find what you see is a little upsetting to your stomachs, then just pretend we're play acting.
Well, you come to find out that it's not a magic act. He's actually torturing women in front of people, and he tortures them in general, even in his own private housing. Anyway, there is this art critic that despises his act and refuses to talk about it in his newspaper.
The actors?
Actors? No true actor would submit to engage in such trash.
But you are going to review my show.
Absolutely not. You heard me in there. If I were to review your so-called show, even badly, I fear some of my readers might come just out of curiosity. And I do not want to be responsible for keeping your theater open one more day.
So he kidnaps a Broadway dancer and basically warps her mind to complying to what he wants her to do in a show. And as this is going on, he kidnaps the reviewer, so he can be tortured on stage by the Broadway dancer who he kidnapped. So we have a scene here where this woman, she's beating the shit out of the reviewer just in broad daylight, like on stage. It's insane. And you might be asking yourselves, Hayden, where does the term blood-sucking freaks come from? Well, I'll tell you this. It's in the movie. And I don't really feel right showing you it, but I think this guy can explain it pretty well.
That scene, watching it back, still bothers me to this day. It's very uncomfortable to watch when he just drills straight down her head and then gets one of those long straws. Not a little one, it's one of the long straws. And he sucks, and you can see the stuff coming out of his head. That's one of those ones you're like, oh, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, this is pretty gruesome. And that's pretty much the whole movie. I'm not gonna lie. There's really nothing else to go into other than the extreme nature of the film. I mean, it is really extreme where I have a hard time like recommending it to people. It's kind of hard to watch in the sense that like the situations that it's in, and also just like how it's like, and also how it's filmed. I don't know, it just has that old grainy 35mm film look, which I enjoy, but to like a mainstream audience member, not really. Yeah, this movie is definitely one of those movies where you have to be pretty much interested in exploitation movies such as I am, or you're literally feeling going on the wild side of things. I mean, I strongly only recommend this movie to people that are already into this kind of genre. Like, you know, there's other movies like, I think The Lowest movie, like, for me personally, the movie that screams low-grade trash and just like a perfect example of what an exploitation movie is Pieces. I don't know if you saw it on my picture of the barrel, but I put it at the very bottom of the barrel because that, in my opinion, that is the bottom of the barrel. But like, Bloodsucking Freaks is on its own territory. That's why I put it underneath the barrel. It doesn't even qualify to even be in that barrel. And yes, I do know that it's distributed by Troma, but it's not a Troma movie in the sense that Lloyd Kaufman had anything to do with it. That's what I mean by that. So, yeah. So if you're interested, they have it on Shudder, and if you are interested in going on the wild side, for either reason, I highly recommend watching the one when Joe Bob Briggs hosts the movie. It's definitely more entertaining that way, in my opinion. Well, that completes day 22. So what's tomorrow's movie, Hayden? Well, you gotta wait till tomorrow. And until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it's day 23 of my 31 days of fright. And so, what's today's movie? Well, it's a movie I already talked about in the past, so keep a watch out for my second review on my Instagram and Facebook. So anyway, the movie today is Grave Encounters. Yeah, this just happens to be one of my favorite found footage films. I just like it that much. I just remember finding it on some random best horror movies list on YouTube, like on Netflix, and I was just like, you know, I'll give it a shot. Then I was like, wow, this is really fucking good. So let's get into this. This is Grave Encounters. I'm so happy I get to finally talk about this movie on a YouTube video. This just happens to be one of my favorite found footage movies of all time. Oh no, it seems like all the other ones are just kind of like mediocre. Like, don't get me started with fucking Paranormal Activity. But this one, it feels authentic. I mean, I'm also a fan of Blair Witch, but I don't know, I feel like this one's better. Okay, so that's me sucking this movie's cock. So let's get into this. So the plot revolves around these paranormal investigators, hint hint, wink wink, and they're actually doing a show called Grave Encounters.
Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Grave Encounters. I'm your host, Lance Preston, as always. And tonight, I'm very excited to take you inside one of the most terrifying locations I've ever seen.
Hey guys, welcome to my room tour. Come on in.
So like any generic ghost show, the whole plot of the show is basically going to different haunted areas and to see if they catch ghosts. I mean, it's just a 99-cent store version of Ghost Hunters. So one of the episodes, they come across this insane asylum. So they're there doing their takes, no big deal. Something that I really like about this movie, that the crew kind of know that the whole premise of the show is bullshit. Like, they're just doing it for the fact that they're on a TV show. It's not necessarily that they believe in ghosts or anything. And they make it perfectly clear when they're actually there filming the scenes for it. I mean, they have a gardener just come in and just be like, yeah, it's haunted.
Javier, have you ever noticed anything strange around the building?
No, not really. What do you mean?
Sure. Hey, Javier, that was $20, Sam. I'm standing here with the resident gardener, Javier Ortega. Javier, have you ever seen anything strange in the past 10 years of working here?
Yeah, I saw a ghost over here. It was really scary.
And I think my favorite part is that they have this psychic medium come out, and like he's like all serious, like, oh my god, there's spirits here and there's like a lot of pain. But yet at the end of the day, it's just some actor and he's just like playing around with the idea of it. It's great.
She slit her wrists in the bathtub.
The caretaker said a girl killed herself right here. Houston, that's incredible.
Her spirit is still with us.
Cut it. Yeah. That was great.
Okay, was that too much?
No.
Come on.
No,
Guys.
no, that was great. That sounded really good.
So it's funny seeing that the character is just making fun of like the whole like haunted genre in general and just not taking it super seriously. So continuing on to the plot. So they have to stay in this insane asylum all night so they can get the footage, you know, like little orbs here and there, footsteps, all the good stuff, you see.
All right, this is the real deal, folks. This is by far the biggest location we have ever investigated and the most dangerous.
And so they're in there, nothing's really going on until strange things start to happen.
God damn, it's cold in here. What the fuck was that? Guys, cut the shit! I'm not fucking playing!
And these strange occurrences just seem to be a little too real, if you know what I mean. So the crew starts to freak out and they decide to hunker down until the morning comes.
Grab all the static cams, get it all together. You know what, guys? Let's all get up and start packing this stuff up, get it ready for when Kenny comes.
But the thing is, morning never comes. And you know what? I'm going to end it right there. I honestly believe that this is one of the best found footage movies ever. And every time I showed this movie to a new person, they end up loving it. And you know what? I'm not going to spoil it on this YouTube video. I like it that much where I want people to watch it, and I'm encouraging you to watch it because I want people to watch it. So go out and watch it. Ugh, scary. I mean, the latter half is when it starts getting really tense. And you should definitely give it a watch. I know it's on Amazon Prime. It might be on Netflix, but I'm not sure. But I know it's on Amazon Prime. So give it a watch. I'm making you watch it, damn it. So anyway, that completes day 23 of my 31 Days of Fright. And what's tomorrow's movie, Hayden? Well, you gotta wait and find out. And until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow.
You should stay. What? The fuck is that? You hear that? Oh shit, what is that?
All these simps always doing shit, yada yada yada. When you see me, what you talking about, little beast round? We're laughing cause you burned out, got no clout. Yeah, you weak without your ass out.
Hey guys, it's day 24 of my 31 days of fright, and today's movie is going to be a real treat for you guys. It's not really well known, but I like it a lot, and I feel like more people should watch it. So, what's today's movie? It's... Who the fuck's at the door now? Give me a minute, please. What could it be? Not you guys again. Nancy, can you get my gun, please? Nancy! I guess you gotta do everything yourself. Wait here. Those motherfuckers keep coming over here and ruining my day, but I got something for them that they're never gonna forget. Yeah. I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna get them good. Too small. Too much. Why does this feel weirdly appropriate for the situation I'm about to go in? I don't know, but it sure feels right. Yeah, let's do this. You son of a bitch is good. You know, where did you go? So close yet so far. One day. God damn it, they always do this. They'll be back. They'll be back. And I'll be ready for them. So, what's today's movie? Well, it's actually coincidentally Get My Gun. I know I got mine. So, let's get into this. This is Get My Gun. And don't rely on Nancy to get it. Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to talking about this movie again. Yeah, so that means you get another review tonight. Actually, another two, because I forgot to talk about one last night. Sorry about that. So, people, today, you get 3 movies. 3 movies today. You get one on this channel, and you get 2 other ones on my Instagram and my Facebook on top of this one. So check out my Facebook and Instagram before I forget about it. Anyway, going back to this movie, I like it a lot. It's very 70-esque feeling. You know, it has that look to it, and I like that kind of stuff. I don't know, it just feels kind of like one of those old exploitation movies that aren't over the top gore fests, but it has its moments in it, and it's solid throughout the whole thing. So I'm going to stop sucking this movie's dick because God knows how many times I've talked about this movie in the past. So let's get into this. So what is the plot of this movie, you might be asking? Well, it's pretty mundane. You follow this woman named Amanda. She's just living out her life, just working as a maid at a hotel, just living by herself, just doing everyday normal stuff. Well, it's not until one day she actually gets raped as she's working as a maid. Yeah, pretty brutal stuff.
I'm going to cut your fucking nose off. Do you understand?
And after that, she decides to keep the kid. And for the latter half of the movie, she's basically pregnant. And I feel like I have to bring this up now before I forget. But for a good 60% of the movie, it's kind of dull. It's very slow. Except for the part when she gets raped. That is probably the most exciting thing that happens in the first 50 minutes of the movie. I'm not going to lie. That's probably my biggest fault with this movie. But you know what? It makes up for it. And I'll explain how. So about 45 minutes into the movie, she sees an ad on the internet about selling off her kid. I know that's not the right phrase, but just deal with it. And she meets this woman, this doctor, that actually is interested in adopting her kid, and she's going to pay her money for it.
Career woman, I put education and earning money ahead of settling down. College, medical school, residency, and then all of the effort involved in setting up a practice. We just didn't leave time for much else. So here I am. I have everything I want, except for a baby.
And in her situation, it's actually a good thing for her because she can't really take care of the kid. And you start to notice that this woman isn't exactly acting right. She's kind of acting strange, weird, and it doesn't settle right with her.
You know, I always wanted to write a children's book. If I didn't go to med school, I could have been a children's author.
How did you know where I live?
Oh, I just looked your address up. Hope you don't think I'm being too forward.
And I'm actually going to end the review here because, in my opinion, the last 20 minutes of the movie are very, very exciting. I did not expect it. I didn't see it coming. I was shocked when it happened. And I'm not going to spoil it for you guys because I believe in the ending so much that it makes up the whole movie. Because you know how I said it has a long draw, it's very slow? It builds up to the end, and I feel like it was well done. Very well done. It's not a perfect movie. I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10 or a 4 out of 4, but it's really good. Really good.
All in all, Get My Gun is actually a fantastic movie. I do like it a lot. It reminds me of that old 70s aesthetic, and you guys know how much I love that stuff. And the ending is really out there. I love it. It just came out of nowhere. And yeah, I highly recommend you guys actually watch it. I believe it's on Amazon Prime. I'm pretty sure it is. And even if you have to pay for it, I do highly recommend you check it out and support low-budget movie makers like this one. Well, that's day 23, and damn, there's only 7 more days until Halloween. Last week, man, it's gonna be a good one. So, what's tomorrow's movie, Hayden? Well, you gotta wait until tomorrow to find out. And until then, have a good one, and I'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow. Goddamn kids! Hey guys, it's day 25 of my 31 Days of Fright. And what's today's movie? Well, I'm going to do a classic, going back to the 80s with this sci-fi masterpiece, Predator. Yeah, how have I not talked about Predator yet? I mean, I did Aliens a few years ago, and a lot of people compare Aliens versus Predator. See what I did there? No, but anyway, this is one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's biggest and most well-known films in the 80s. I mean, other than Terminator, what other ones did he do? Commando, the other ones, the good stuff. So, yeah, let's get into this. This is Predator.
I mean, what can I say that hasn't already been said before about Predator? It's one of the best sci-fi movies of the 80s, and there's a lot of good reasons for it. Number one being Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, this guy's just a beast. I mean, doing something else other than Terminator really puts the spotlight on his action hero characteristics.
Knock, knock.
And you got supporting actors like Jesse Ventura, Carl Weathers, and Bill Duke. I mean, what else can you ask for? It's a lineup for the ages. So, other than just sucking this movie's dick all day, let's actually get into the plot. And if you haven't seen this, shame on you. So let's get into this. So the beginning starts off with this normal military feeling movie where they're all going in, do some mission, save a hostage, whatsoever. And it has a very action movie-esque vibe. I mean, it is an action movie. Let's not kid ourselves here. But things start to change midway through the movie. Then it gets super serious.
Not a thing. Not a fucking trace. No blood, no bodies. We hit nothing.
Dylan, better get on a radio.
And this dramatic shift in tone definitely puts the viewer in a different state of mind when you're watching this. Yeah, when you're watching the beginning, it's a total action flick like any other Arnold Schwarzenegger movie in the past. But once you actually get an idea of what they're dealing with, it completely changes the vibe. And now it's the hunter has become the hunted, facing off something they have never seen before. Now the mission isn't just to extract the hostage, but just to get out alive. So they start to set up traps, booby traps, any type of ambushes just to have an advantage, but the Predator always seems to outmaneuver it and get away, and as he's clearing them out one by one, the more desperate and terrified they become.
I'm scared, Pancho.
Bullshit. You ain't afraid of no man.
There's something out there waiting for us. And it ain't no man.
Then we get this badass line.
Run! Go! Get to the chopper!
Hey, you knew it was coming. It was just a matter of time before I brought it up, so I guess I should just bring it up now. Come on, this whole movie's just filled with these one-liners that are just legendary. I mean, get to the chopper. I mean, how many memes have you seen with that line? I mean, there's a fucking metal song based on this line. Don't get me wrong, there's other great one-liners too, like...
Stick around.
Or...
Bunch of slack-jawed faggots around here. This stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus. Just like me.
And we can't forget...
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Yeah, this whole movie's just full of them. But back to the plot, alright? So after the Predator gets every person one by one, it's just mano a mano. Monster versus monster. Greased up man versus leathery skinned foe. Got Arnold and the Predator facing off in the last scene. And it's a pretty good 1v1 scene, you know? I mean, Arnold can't really face him like strength by strength or like a boxing match. He has to outmaneuver this guy. He has to use tactics. He actually has to use like some type of stealth element. But, you know, Arnold figures him out, outsmarts him, but this motherfucking Predator can't accept losing, so he decides to blow himself up. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. I mean, what other things can I say? It's a classic, science fiction classic here. It can't be beat. I mean, even the sequels aren't even as good as this one. Maybe Predator 2, but it's still not as great as the first Predator. I mean, everything said about Predator's already been said. I'm just adding on top of the pile. You know, what else could you really say that's new about this movie? I mean, everything has been said in a good way. It's not bad. It's great. It's one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever. I mean... And it also has fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. The best action star, arguably, ever. Still great, though. I actually had a hard time doing this review because every time I was cutting the scenes together, I would just stop and just watch the movie. That's just the power of what this movie is, you know? Oh, well. So that completes day 25 of my 31 Days of Fright. So what's tomorrow's movie, Hayden? Well, you gotta find out. So, until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it's day 26 of my 31 Days of Fright. Damn, our last week together. Oh well, let's make these last days count. So what's today's movie? Well, today's movie is definitely not a fun one if you haven't seen it before, or if you have seen it. Today we're talking about Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Yeah, this movie is very grim and dark. It's one of the most controversial movies ever made, actually. And one of the most disturbing. And I mean disturbing. I mean, this movie disturbs me, and you guys know what kind of stuff I've watched if you've seen the last videos. So, yeah, let's get into it. This is Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. So, yeah, this movie is one of the most disturbing movies I have ever seen. I mean, this movie even disturbs me. So, yeah, let's get into this. I mean, the plot of it is pretty self-explanatory. You got Henry over here, played by Michael Rooker, and it's just him killing people. I mean, there really isn't much to it, to be completely honest. It's just a very disturbing movie in tone. I mean, the movie itself isn't really that violent or like gory. It is an exploitation film, but it's more of an art film, if anything. It's just combining the two genres. It's just very creepy. I mean, because it's not like a typical movie where you know it's fake or like it's just dramatized. No, apparently this is based off a real serial killer, and the story's based on him going around killing 11 people. And like his side story and his partner, it's very grim because you know like this really happened. And him just talking about like him murdering people and like how he does it. He has this ingenious method of doing it.
If you shoot somebody in the head with a .45 every time you kill somebody, it becomes like your fingerprint, see? But if you strangle one and stab another, and when you cut up, when you don't, then the police don't know what to do. They think you're four different people.
And to make sure not to kill anyone that was seen around you or with, so it's like completely random. It's very like dark because you know this would work properly, and it probably has worked. Creepy. And I must say, Michael Rooker's role in this is fantastic. I am convinced from the beginning to the end that this man is a serial killer. I mean, this is probably his best role in my opinion.
But I don't fault her for that. It ain't what she done, it's how she done it. As long as I can remember, she'd be bringing men up to the house. My daddy was there too, but it didn't matter none to her. She'd make me watch it.
I feel like this is his like top role, like his best role, but the problem is no one has really seen it because apparently when this movie first came out in 1988, it was super hard to find and it wasn't really released until 1990. And also that it was given a rated X rating or NC-17 in the modern age. And you know how modern movie theaters don't like to play those, so like no one really saw it. You kind of had to dig for it just to see it. Well, that's all I'm going to say about Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. It's really good, don't get me wrong. It's just very disturbing. I mean, like I said before, this is probably the most disturbing movie I've ever seen, as in like, this movie disturbed me. And that's saying a lot coming from a person that usually watches really gory, gross movies. That must say a lot. So, if you have the stomach or the curiosity to watch this, I know for a fact it is on Shudder, and I highly do recommend you watch it with Joe Bob hosting it. It's very insightful, and you actually get to talk to the director and the co-writer of the movie just to see what his like views of the movie was about. It's pretty good. So yeah, if you definitely have the curiosity and the stomach or just like a mental willingness to watch it, go for it. It's actually really good. It's not for everybody. And if you do want to give it a watch, I highly recommend watching the Joe Bob version, like I said before, because at least it has like a break in between. It's definitely a lot easier to consume, other than just like watching it from beginning to the end. So yeah, that completes day 26 of my 31 Days of Fright. So what's tomorrow's movie, Hayden? Well, you gotta wait until tomorrow to find out. And until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, how about those bears?
Fuck the bears.
Hey guys, it's day 27 of my 31 Days of Fright, and we only have a few more movies. So what's today's movie? Well, you know that guy that always talks about the same movie all the time, and he's like, "You've seen this movie? You've seen it? Yeah, I like it a lot. I like it a lot." I'm like, "Yes, I have seen it. It's an okay movie." Well, today's one of those movies. Yeah, we're talking about Chopping Mall today. Yeah, let's get into this. It's Chopping Mall.
Alright, let's get into this. So, the plot of this movie is actually pretty simple. So, essentially, these robots are guards of the mall, so they don't actually have to hire any personnel to liquidate costs and stuff. But the problem is that you're essentially putting an all-knowing robot into a position that needs to make life and death decisions. And I've seen enough robot movies to know that most of the time they're just like, fuck it, we're killing them. And this movie's no different.
The protectors will make Park Plaza the safest mall in the state. Trust me. Absolutely nothing can go wrong.
Yeah, because we all heard that one before, and nothing has turned out wrong in the past. Anyway, this is when we get introduced to our main characters. They're pretty much just employees working at the mall, and they decide to do a snuggle party in one of the departments. Typical 80s teenagers stuff. No big deal, pretty common in these kinds of movies. But it just so happens to be that the day they introduce these robots, they go haywire, and they just start to kill everybody in sight. Hey, Jake Miller's in this. You know it's a real 80s movie if he's in this.
Hope, present hall pass.
You clumsy son of a bitch! Look what you did. I ought to turn you into scrap metal for this.
Second request, present hall pass.
Do not make any sudden moves.
Sudden move. I'll give you a sudden move upside your head.
Security breach. Security breach.
Shocking.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Even though the plot is kind of, dumb, it's still pretty entertaining. I mean, the special effects are great. I mean, look at this scene. Ooh, heads right off. The special effects in this aren't that bad, even though I feel like they go a little overboard on the lasers. Like, they look too neon or just too generic. At least for the time. Coming from a millennial, of course.
Target inside fire.
Anyway, so now the rest of the movie is basically them trying to survive and get out of this mall alive. So what do? They start to load up and attack the robots, or at least defend themselves. It depends on which point of view you're talking about. Anyway, so they end up attacking the robots.
Why? Why was I programmed to feel pain?
Killing them, destroying them, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. Yeah, this one's pretty short and sweet. I don't really have much to say on it. It's an okay movie in my book. Actually, I think it's better than okay. I think it's actually pretty decent. If you're kind of hesitant on getting into the exploitation film market, Chopping Mall is tame for an exploitation movie, and it's a little too much for a regular horror movie, thriller kind of action movie. So it's a good middle. So if you're trying to expand your horizons to get to the next level, this is a great medium ground that I feel. And it's actually really fun to watch. Anyone can really watch it. So that completes day 27 of my 31 Days of Fright. And what's tomorrow's movie, Hayden? Well, you gotta wait and find out. And until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. One last thing before I let you guys go, and I don't know how I almost forgot about this. But in the 80s movies where they did the title crawl at the end and they actually showed pictures of the actors and actresses? Well, look at what they did for Susie Slater's picture when they're introducing her. Man, you gotta love these kinds of movies. Hey guys, it's day 28 of my 31 Days of Fright, and this one's a pretty special one. So I know I've been saying that for the last few reviews, or the whole month so far, but I really mean it this time. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to show any clips of any of the movie, and I'm just going to talk about it face to face with the camera. So the movie that I'm talking about today is One Cut of the Dead. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting film, to say the least. It is basically a short film. It's only around 37 minutes long, but just the whole concept, the whole meaning behind this film is really exceptional. It's just one of those movies where you just feel good when you finish it. It just gives you a good feeling inside. And that's kind of weird to say about a horror movie, but it's just one of those things that you have to see to understand what I'm talking about. Because it is a horror movie to a certain extent. So I'm not going to really go into the movie because I don't want to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it
because I want people to watch this. So I'm pretty much going to keep this review short, sweet, to the point. And this movie is just an eye-opener, really. It just shows you the compassionate work that filmmaking goes into. If you're a fan of movies, you should give this a watch, and you'll have an appreciation for it, regardless if you make them or just watch them. I think this movie's pretty much for everybody. No one should be shunned away from watching this. This is a movie for everybody. So, yeah, I think I'm going to keep it short and sweet this time. And just end it there. There's really nothing much more I can say about it. If you can find it. I know it's on Shudder. And you know what? I want you guys to tell me what you think of the movie. I want you guys to watch it and tell me what you think about it in the comments. And don't think of it as a way of short-balling you or something in that nature, in the sense that I'm being lazy or don't want to do it. I think once you see the movie, you'll understand what I'm trying to portray in the way how I'm talking about it. I think it'll make sense. Just to make sure to watch the whole movie. Just make sure to do that. But like I said, it's really good. So I'm going to end it there. So that completes day 28 of my 31 Days of Fright. And what's tomorrow's movie, Hayden? Well, you gotta wait until tomorrow to find out. And until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, it's day 29. You know what that means?
2 more days to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 2 more days to Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Oh yeah, there's 2 days left till Halloween. And what's today's movie then? Well, today's is a remake of a 1960s film called Village of the Damned. Yeah, John Carpenter did this one. Is it going to be as good as this remake of The Thing? Well, let's check it out. This is Village of the Damned.
Yes. We're doing another John Carpenter film today. So let's get into Village of the Damned, shall we? Well, this is a remake of the 1960s movie of the same name, and it pretty much follows the same soup. Little differences here and there compared to the two, which it should. So the beginning of the movie starts out as in this little town in California, and everyone gets knocked out for some weird reason. Just everyone gets knocked out, and 10 women out of the whole town get pregnant at the same time.
All the pregnancies seem to date from the day of the blackout.
Oh no.
I mean, damn, Jody or Chad must have had a field day when this happened. Then the U.S. government comes in and tries to offer aid to all the women that are pregnant, and they say they'll give them $3,000 each if they decide to keep the baby.
Is that $3,000 a family? What if your wife and your daughter both have kids?
Then you would receive $6,000.
Wait a minute. You see that guy's face? Yeah, that face. I know that face is. He's a daughter fucker if I ever saw one. Motherfucking wants more money. He's gonna fuck his own daughter, have another baby. Fuck him.
Anyway. Oh yeah, I have to mention, Christopher Reeves is in this movie. Yep, in the before times. And, you know what I'm talking about when I mean the before times. Oh yeah, we got Mark Hamill here as a reverend.
We need fingerprints.
And a before weight gain Christy Alley. You know, the 90s. So the day finally comes and all the women give birth at the same time. Wow, a miracle of life happening right before our eyes.
Right, here it comes. Here we go. Come on, now push. Give me one big push. Come on, here we go. Come on. I'm sorry, it's stillborn.
Oh, one of the babies died. That's sad. Damn. So we fast forward a few months and we notice that one of the kids has this weird ability where he can control the mother and make her put her hand in a boiling pot of water. So we fast forward a few years where the kids are about 8 or 9 years old, and we're definitely see them be more cult-like. I mean, can you not see it? I mean, they're all dressed the same, they all have the same hair and eye color, and they all walk in unison. Well, except David here, where he's all alone. Fucking loser. And this is where we discover that they actually have some type of telepathic powers, where they can actually look into the minds of people and read their thoughts.
Mara, why do you smile?
You're trying to hide your thoughts from us.
Oh. Well, just how deeply do you see?
Everything active in your mind.
And they make their victims kill themselves? Oh my god, this is the happening before the happening, is it? I mean, at least it makes a little bit more sense. At least we don't have Mark Wahlberg in this one.
What? No.
Hey, shut, Marky Mark. Go back to Steel Dragon.
What? No.
So anyway, this is when we find out in the movie that apparently these kids are actually aliens in nature, and they were impregnated into the women so they can somewhat colonize the planet or something like that. I really don't know. Apparently it's a whole thing about, well, like, we need to survive, so we need to kill your kind. But like Christopher Reeves is like, you need to feel!
You should feel! You should feel something!
Yeah, because you know you're totally going to convince another species to like you just by saying,
you should feel! You should feel something!
Yeah, let's try that with the aliens from Battlefield Earth.
You should feel! You should feel something!
Or the Klingons.
You should feel! You should feel something!
Or shit, even the aliens from War of the Worlds.
You should feel! You should feel something!
Yeah, because you know I could totally see Tom Cruise being like, you need to feel! To the aliens. Actually, that'd be great. We should do that. Anyway, so Christopher Reeves decides, you know what, there's no real big point of trying to save them. So you know what, he's going to do the most Superman thing he can do. He's going to sacrifice himself to save the town.
You're successfully blocking your thoughts. Got no clout, yeah, you weak without your ass out.
And you know what? He does. And David gets away because his mom saved him, and they go off into the distance and travel somewhere else. And that's basically the end of the movie.
All in all, it's not as good as The Thing. I mean, The Thing, in my opinion, is my favorite horror movie of all time. And I don't know, John Carpenter didn't catch the same spark as the original Village of the Damned. It's different. It's not bad, but not his best. It's worth watching, though, if you're interested. So that's day 29. We got 2 more days left. So what's tomorrow's movie? Hey, the day before Halloween. Well, you gotta wait until tomorrow. And until then, have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow.
I can feel your anger. I am defenseless. Take your weapon. Strike me down with all of your hatred, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
Hey guys, it's day 30 of my 31 Days of Fright, and you know what that means.
One more day to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. One more day to Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Yeah, we got one more day. So tomorrow's the last day of my 31 Days of Fright. I hope you liked it. I know I have. So what's today's movie? Well, today's movie is kind of interesting. I know I say that a lot, but that's because they are. So how I found this movie was based off a YouTube list about like the most disgusting, gross movies ever. And this movie came up, and apparently when it was shown at film festivals, people got so grossed out that they actually left the movie theater. Sounds like something up my alley, right? Well, this movie is called Bite. And that title just sounds intriguing, like bite. What do you mean bite? Well, let's get into this. This is Bite. Alright, let's get into this movie, Bite. So the main premise is that these three girls go on this tropical vacation before one of them gets married. You know, typical white girl stuff.
Let's get this vacation started. I'm gonna have a pina colada. That's not fun, Joe.
And as they're on their adventures, one of the girls gets bitten by something in the water.
What? I just felt something in the water. Oh my god! I think something bit me!
So she gets back to her regular life, getting her mother-in-law pissed off at her for reasons. As she's going on through her day, she starts to notice that her bug bite that she got starts to get worse and starts to ooze and stuff, and she starts to freak out because she has no idea what's causing this. Well, over time, it gets worse and worse and worse until something pretty gross happens. Yeah, she starts to lay these weird eggs like you would see like fish would lay or like frogs when they lay tadpole eggs. It's really gross. And it just gets worse and worse from there, where she essentially covers her whole apartment room in like a dark swamp. I don't really know how to describe it. It's just gross, disgusting, damp. It looks like something you would see after like a shed would be flooded in like the bayou of Louisiana. It's just very unsettling. And so the more eggs she starts to lay, the more paranoid she is when it comes to protecting them. Like she's basically becoming the mother of her spawn and she wants to protect them. But what are they? They kind of look like bugs or like some type of mosquito. I can't really tell. Either way, it's still gross. She literally like throws up eggs, like little small marble things, and like spits everywhere. And she becomes this weird scorpion thing. I don't know. It's just weird and creepy. She looks like a burn victim.
Do you still think I'm pretty?
And that's pretty much the movie. Yeah, pretty gross. So yeah, it's actually not a bad movie. Personally, I've seen grosser movies. It's still gross, don't get me wrong, but not the like sickening to my stomach grossness. That's just me personally, but I can totally see that with other people. Like if I showed this to some of my friends or like my mom, she would be like grossed out, like ugh. It's just not my thing. It doesn't make me sick. That shows how fucked up I am. But anyway, I do recommend it. If you're into that kind of stuff or you're just kind of curious. It is on Amazon Prime the last time I did check. But yeah, that's Bite. So that's day 30. We literally have one more movie left for tomorrow for Halloween. And you want to know what that movie is? Well, you gotta wait. Wait for Halloween tomorrow. Well, until then, have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, today's the day.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Yep, it's Halloween. Wow, one more movie. This is the last movie of my 31 Days of Fright, and I do appreciate you guys watching and reading my reviews. It makes me appreciate what I do, that you guys are enjoying this. I know I've been enjoying this. So let's get into this. What's the movie today? Well, I'm talking about a movie that's actually a Halloween movie, you know, like actually set on Halloween. I mean, not like John Carpenter's Halloween where it's a serial killer on Halloween. I mean, like the movie itself is based on Halloween. So today's movie is Trick or Treat. Yeah, the anthology movie. So yeah, let's get into this. This is Trick or Treat.
So yeah, everyone that's basically a horror nut knows this movie. You know, the classic 2007 anthology film. Well, if you don't know what an anthology film is, it's basically a combination of like 3 or 4 little stories, and they are supported by like a narrative of the plot. Think of it as like a split with multiple bands with different songs on it. Anyway, so the main theme of the movie is that this is all done on Halloween night.
It's only 8 o'clock and the streets are already packed with costume visitors. Some to show off, others to blend in, but all to celebrate the magical night of Halloween.
Yeah, you don't really see a lot of movies that are on Halloween. I mean, you have like Trick or Treat, the other Trick or Treat, but that's not really a Halloween movie. Yeah, we got one story with the kid from Bad Santa and the dude that kills him. I'm not really sure if he kills him. It's kind of implied that he did, but he's hiding like the body of the kid. You have the typical slutty girls going to a Halloween party, and you got trick-or-treaters just walking around talking about some urban legend about how some crazy bus driver killed a bunch of special kids by driving off a bridge and drowning them. And they come back as zombies? Ghosts? I don't really know, but still pretty cool. Yeah, and you know those college girls that are partying in the middle of the woods? Yeah, they're like werewolves. Honestly, when I first saw that, I was like, didn't expect that to happen. Still cool. It's also kind of creepy that they're playing Marilyn Manson over it. Just adds to the creepy factor.
What big eyes you have.
Then we get our last little story about this old dude that just hates Halloween, and he gets a visitor, and the visitor is this guy. Yeah, his name's Sam, by the way, if you didn't know. And he periodically comes in and out of the movie just to show his face and all. But this is where he really shines. And then we come to realize that this old curmudgeon motherfucker was the bus driver of those kids that he drowned. Well, to be fair, he didn't drown them. Like, one of the kids got out and, like, drove off the cliff. But, I mean, the parents of those kids wanted him to kill them anyway, so he killed them still. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole movie. And I think the reason why I like this movie so much, it's because in regular anthology movies, they have like every movie or every short film like have a specific time slot, like, oh, this is the first one, then the second one, then the third one. A good example would be like John Carpenter's Body Bags, or like Creepshow. Yeah, that's another good one. But like Trick or Treat basically combines everything into one movie. Like, yeah, they're all separate stories, but they're all like linked into being in this one little town on Halloween night. It kind of reminds me of the 22 short stories of Springfield, that episode, where it's like, yeah, there's multiple people telling different stories, but they're all connected into one, and it makes one cohesive like story. That's at least what I think of it. That's why I think this is probably my favorite anthology movie. So yeah, it's really good. If you haven't seen it, I would be surprised if you haven't. Pretty much every person who likes horror movies loves this movie. So yeah, that's the last movie for Halloween, because today's Halloween. Crazy. Well, I just want to do my final note on this. Thank you for watching again. I had fun doing this. I hope you had a good time watching, reading what I had to say about these movies. Because the reason why I do these movies is because I want people to come together. I know like the time now it's kind of hard with everything else going on. And I just wanted to make something for people. Maybe forget about their lives or like something for like 5 minutes. So yeah, that was mainly the whole point of why I did this. And to show that there's good movies out there that people might have not known of. There's still movies I don't even know about and they're probably amazing. But I just wanted to share my thoughts and opinions and just get out some suggestions. So, yeah, that's the last day. It's Halloween. Well, I'll be doing more reviews throughout the year. Not as frequent, obviously, but I'll still be doing them. Make sure to check them out. Make sure to subscribe if you like. Make sure to follow all my social medias in the link below. And, yeah. Until the next review, I don't know what the next review is going to be, so you have to wait. And until then, have a good one, have a happy Halloween, and I'll see you next time.
don't even know what that was. Coach Taylor was in a hot dog costume, but fucking a pig, I think. And
Chip,
then
let's just not.